Incoming transmission.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the GSL Code S. We're going to be wrapping up the round of 16 here today. Our groups are a little out of order. This is going to be Group C, but this is the fourth group we're doing here for the day. We had to move the groups for D and C here. So it's Group C, but it's going to be us wrapping up the round of 16.
Yeah, and it's going to be, in my opinion, one of the most fun and interesting groups we have had in GSL in a long time. On paper, I think this group, if everyone plays to the best of their ability, to their peak form, it might be the scariest group of all time. But we have a lot of players that, you know, they've come back from the military service. They might not be quite as in shape as they were in the past. But most importantly for me here today is to see exactly how these guys like Dark, Cure, Stats, and of all people, Rogue are going to be shaping up today.
Yeah, Rogue is back. And for me, at least, I'm going to be looking at Rogues a lot compared to the other players. I want to see, is he going to be in the kind of form he was in before? When Rogue is on top of his game, he's basically the best player in GSL. So it's going to be interesting to see how he performs. But again, this is a tough group. If he can get out of this group, it's going to be huge. But the lineup of players he's going against is really scary here.
Yeah, this is a group of death for sure. And in fact, 50% of fans, more than that, expecting Cure to advance.
I'm a little bit surprised Cure got that much. I feel like Dark should have scored a little bit higher here.
Dark did have that kind of shaky season in the round of 16 a couple of weeks ago where he was taken out by, I believe, both Classic and Stats. I think ZVP was really his Achilles heel. But Cure also has just been one of these guys that seems like a perennial top 4, if not top 8 candidate.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically brought a better iteration of himself every year. He's looking so strong, so solid. By the way, guys, we have 2 weeks off after this is done.
That's right.
DreamHack Dallas, and we'll be returning here on, when is this? The 13th of next month.
June.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of a drawn-out season, already only doing one day a week, and then we're going to have the gap there for DreamHack Dallas.
That's
but it should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be going to Dallas Tasteless.
I'm excited for you.
Excited to see the gamers there.
That's right. Say hi to all the gamers from way down there in Dallas. It's going to be fun when we get back here and start to go through the round of 8. And, of course, on the final day, we do the round of 4 and then the finals. So be sure to join us for that. If you want to buy tickets, the information is below on screen here. But, again, this after this group today here, 2 weeks off.
Yeah, and make sure you get those tickets early if you can. Usually they don't sell out for the round of 16 or the round of 8. It's unlikely we're going to have a completely packed audience here today, but certainly as the tournament moves closer and closer to its conclusion, especially with the finals all on one day, you want to get those tickets as fast as you can. I think last season they might have sold out in something like 5 minutes is what they told me.
They basically always sell out in like under 10 minutes.
It's crazy.
If you want to support the GSL, you can see we've already got, I guess they're going to show in a second, a decent amount of support. There it is. Already, you can sign up to the Patreon or you can donate Star Balloons via the Freaking TV website.
Yeah, get some cool perks. You can get to download the replay packs for the GSL. You can get behind-the-scenes videos and photographs, and of course, 100% of the money given to the nation, minus of course the Patreon fees because we don't actually get that.
Right,
goes 100% into the prize pool. You are supporting your favorite players, keeping StarCraft alive. And here is how the round of 8 is shaping up so far. Group A, Mario Asu, pretty surprising result, him advancing into the top 8 here, as well as Beyond. And then Group B, Hero Creator and DRG. I mean, this has been kind of a season of upsets, it feels like, with Su and DRG. I think DRG even got first in his group, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. He got out right away. Yeah, definitely a lot of upsets here.
I mean, the fact that Raynor wasn't able to make it into the round of 8 really surprised me. And as well, Solar just kind of seems to be a little bit in a slump over the past year. And guys, let's take a look at the video for the group selection here in Group C.
김덕수 생각하실 선수나 혹시 종족 있으신지?
토스전 하고 싶은데 다 친하다고 생각해가지고 좀 오고 싶은 사람 있는데 좀.
제가 도욱이랑 한번 하고 싶습니다. 도욱이랑 한번 하자.
근데 소문이 너무 잘한다고 자자해가지고 소스 중에 좀 물어보고 싶은데 소스 중.
저는 안 뽑아줬으면 좋겠어요. 대엽이 형 추천해도 되나요?
도우기가 GSL 시즌 1에서 저를 한번 이겨서 저한테 아픔을 줬는데
그래도 좀 저랑 하고 싶은 사람이랑 해야 될 것 같아서 병렬이랑 하겠습니다.
재밌게 했구만. 진짜 너무 군대에서 이제 항상 결승이나 뭐 4강 같은 거 항상 지켜봤는데 항상 보면서 너무 뛰고 싶었고 무대를 시간이 얼마 없는데 그 시간까지 좀 열심히 준비해서 도우기 한번 떨궈보도록 하겠습니다.
다음은 이제 그룹 C의 이병렬 선수.
토스전이 조금 하고 싶긴 한데 남은 토스가 좀 원하는지 저 현우나 대엽이 형 중에
려리가 더 짧고 전 준비했을 때 연습을 진짜 열심히 잘 도와줬어요. 그래서 너무 고맙게 생각하고 좀 연습 때 좀 나 좀 치지 않았니 병렬아? 그래서 좀 안 뽑아줬으면 좋겠구나.
대답이 너무 마음에 안 들어서 대엽이 형 뽑겠습니다.
장윤 선수 말이라도 한번 들어봅시다. 그랬던 거.
저는 딱 너무 원하는 그거였어요. 병렬이 형이 대엽이 형 찍어줬으면
역시.
좋았는데
사실은 상관없었어요. 일단 더 좋은 선택지를 좀 혼자서 상상하고 있었었는데 그게 안 된 게 좀 아쉽긴 하지만은 네, 좋은 것 같아요.
김대 선수 어떤 선수 있나요? 지금 변현우, 박용호 이렇게 있거든요.
지금 남아있는 두 선수 얘기 한번 듣고 싶어요. 네.
제가 뭐 지난 시즌 상 가실 때 연습 많이 도와드리고 막 개념적으로도 많이 알려드리고 그랬잖아요. 그게 제가 좀 도움이 많이 됐다고 생각하거든요. 이대로 그냥 넘겨주셨으면.
저번 시즌에 대엽이 형이랑 좀 했기 때문에 이번 시즌은 좀 피하고 싶고, 그리고 현우 형이 이제 연습 많이 도와드렸다고 했는데 저도 이제 대엽이 형 한창 카토위체에서 열정 넘치실 때 정말 많이 알려드렸거든요. 만약에 그런 점을 생각하신다면 저를 그냥 보내주시는 게 나을 것 같아요. 그죠?
뭐야?
왜요? 진심 알려드렸잖아요, 제가 그때. 형이 들어보시면 다 알려드리고.
근데 그 저번 시즌에 현우가 연습을 많이 도와줬다고 했는데 GSL 할 때 대엽이가 테란 이기고 올라간 적이 없는 걸로.
아니 정재형 생각하면 어떡해요.
개인적으로 저는 대엽 형이 령우 형 데려가면 제가 이번에 령우 형이랑 GSL 할 때 아예 이기게 만들어줬거든요. 제가 또 이기게 만들어줄 수 있도록 열심히 노력하겠습니다.
김도 선수는 지명권을 행사해 주세요.
힘든 길이 될 것 같은데 네, 저는 명호 뽑겠습니다.
와, 비조 난리 났어요 지금. 비조.
너무 배신감이 들고요. 이제 게임적으로는 한마디도 안 해야 될 것 같고, 그리고 앞에 이제 병렬이 형의 파이팅 넘치는 모습을 보니까 저도 원래도 넘쳤지만 더 넘치게 되는 것 같아요. 그래서 그냥 다 패버리고 올라가겠습니다.
변현우 선수가 그 시즌 1 때도 그렇고 그 전에 IM 카토비체 경기 때도 그랬고 제 연습 엄청 열심히 도와주셨거든요. 그래가지고 차마 좀 뽑기가 좀 그런 거예요. 뭐 뽑으면 제가 이기겠지만
솔직히 짜증 나긴 했고 대엽이 형한테만큼은 절대 지고 싶지 않고요. 우선은 그냥 그 대엽이 형 점만 생각하고 있어요 지금.
시즌2는 정말 마지막처럼 최선을 다해서
지금 실력으로는 솔직히 제로인 것 같은데 한 달 뒤에 저는 저를 믿기 때문에 그때 되면은 그래도 한 70%까지 올릴 수 있지 않을까 생각합니다. 연습 열심히 해서 이제 기대하신 만큼 충족시킬 수 있게 열심히 해야 될 것 같아요.
All right, we're getting ready to go into this now. Again, so curious how Rogue is going to perform here. Pure, obviously, a real threat. Probably the most likely to get out of this group. Dark has been very consistently one of the strongest Zergs in the whole world. Stats, he definitely looks like the old good stats, and certainly in the way that he plays the game. He tends to have the longest games as Protoss, the most. He's always trying to get to the end game, I guess is one way to put it. But that style hasn't been as successful as of late, so I'm worried he might be knocked out first, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. For stats, it has worked quite well against Zergs in the past, even Dark in the previous season, so maybe he will be able to bust that out against Rogue and Dark to eke his way out of this group. But for Kier on screen right now, I'm right there with you, and with 50% or more of the fans, and that He does seem like the favorite to advance. This is a guy that it feels like basically only gets stopped by Maru at this point.
Yeah.
It's just his Achilles heel. Cure always inevitably gets deep enough in a tournament that he will meet Maru, and Maru will be his demise. And I'm wondering if that's going to be the same story here today, if Cure is going to advance either in, I'm not sure if it's first or second from this group to meet Maru again in the round of 8, but if it's not Maru, I'm not sure who really can stop him. He just looks so good, if not the second best and certainly the third best Terran player in the world, in my opinion. And Rogue, just a huge question mark. This is a guy that won, if I'm not mistaken, more than $1 million in
So
StarCraft 2
crazy.
prize money
Yeah.
before going to military service 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's not Gamers 8 money. That's Rogue just hustling and winning world championship money. I think has like some almost undefeatable record in best of 7 series, especially in offline tournaments. He is the god of the big show, the god of big matches, especially offline matches. But is he going to be able to return to form here in GSL, his first season back? He's only been back from the military since March. Sometimes we see guys like Sue or like Stats have a really slow build coming back from the military service to regain that form. Occasionally we have guys like Hero come back and just explode with skill, almost like the break was good for them.
Yeah.
I don't know what flavor of Rogue we're going to get. Is he going to take this time as kind of a refreshing course to come back in here and just revitalize his gameplay? Is he going to struggle? We're going to find out very soon, Tasteless.
All right, guys, we're ready to start this best of 3, Cure versus Rogue, happening now. Okay, we've got Cure here in the top left, Rogue in the bottom right. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy. When Rogue was dominant before he went to the military, you know, he was winning basically everything. You know, it was him and Maru competing for who could come out on top the most. And then we had a couple pro gamers sprinkled in between there. But, you know, obviously Rogue had to go do his military service, and that's really where then Maru started to scoop up a ton of GSL victories. But now Rogue is back. So let's see how he performs. Oh, excellent. I love this. Look at that. It's so clear who each caster is.
Uh-huh. That's really well done.
That's really good. That's really well done. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Talk about Rogue being one of the greatest big match players before he went to the military service. It was him and Maru for such a long period of time. Maru just thrived. He feasted on the weakened and wooden gamers after Rogue was gone. Rogue was the only one really holding him back.
You know, it's funny, like, we have players that come back from the military service and they don't play that well right away, but we have had exceptions. Hero was one of them. Just to make it clear for everybody who's not familiar with, you know, what happens in Korea, you have to do your military service at some point in time if you're an able-bodied male. It can be as little as 18 months, or it can be 2 years, or I think a little bit over 2 years, depending on what the job that you take in the military is. And you can't make money any other way when you're doing that. So basically, you can't be a professional StarCraft player, right? Now, you could still play in your spare time, but a lot of players don't. A lot of players are not in great condition. So this is why I'm so curious, because when Rogue is in good shape, he basically can beat anybody. And that's why this game is going to be such a great test, especially starting here with Cure.
Yeah, Cure coming in with the first Reaper. Rogue going to be hiding that drone all the way down in the bottom corner, waiting to throw down that third hatchery. We'll have to see exactly how many Reapers Cure is going to go up to with this opening, as he's getting some good damage done. Almost feels like this queen might be just a touch late, but so far nice control here by Rogue, already planting that third hatchery. But now the Reapers can really start to do some damage. Actually, 4 of them are going to be coming out in total.
So it's funny, we've seen this scenario a lot in this matchup, but we haven't seen Rogue deal with it. And it does seem like he did get the hatchery up maybe a little bit quickly. You can end up falling into the trap here. Basically, the Reapers could chuck grenades and zone out the queens. And so he's doing that right now. And if you stagger it out, you could pretty much just keep doing damage to this hatchery until it's killed. A 4th Reaper is going to come down. We usually see them stop at 3, but we also don't see the third hatch put down here as quickly. And it seems like he is once again going to be able to trap this out. It's getting very low. Lings are going to come in here.
Yeah.
He forces the cancel, and he's going to get away with all 4 Reapers.
And those Lings were so close to getting the surround on those bottom 2 Reapers, but instead the Reaper's able to survive. And actually, Rogue, a little bit out of position with those Lings, needs to use them to protect that Queen as it works its way slowly back to the creep.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit scared here for Rogue, because this is looking like a game played from a Zerg right when we started to see the 3 racks Reaper grow in popularity, where Zergs really weren't able to get a handle on it. And basically the openings already worked, right? He managed to deny the hatchery.
Yeah, hatchery went down here behind it, going for a 3rd command center and some Hellions to exert a little bit more map control, whereas Rogue, he did take some damage back at home. A lot of Lings were forced out, even wasn't able to really capitalize on the speed Ling timing because he just didn't really have enough with high enough HP to get the full surround there on the Reapers. And as a result, Kira now with those Reapers fully healed up and paired up with these Hellions should be able to get quite a bit of damage done. If not direct damage, then maybe forcing some Lings, killing some creep tumors.
Yeah, and he's going to continue to put this pressure on here, taking out these creep tumors and basically inhibiting that creep highway that wants to be spread all over the map. Looks like those 2 finish, and he decides not to scan. Now, it's going to be fun to see how Rogue plays from this position being behind, because it seems like Kira's actually going to ramp up attacks pretty soon here. He's getting Stim, he's getting Liberators, and he might start pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like Kira's almost trying to tax Rogue a little bit more here in the early game than he would his typical Zerg opponent, just because Rogue is not as in form as he normally is.
Well,
he just came back
right?
from the military service so recently, and
a lot of Zergs delayed getting their 3rd hatchery planted just to avoid this, but already this has worked, and it seems like as the Stim is on the way here and Liberators are being sent out, Kira basically wants to try to press that advantage.
Yeah, 6 of the 8 Queens, by the way, all here at the 3rd hatchery, and Liberators already out on the map, one of them going into the main base. If there's a follow-up one, probably going to go into the natural expansion. But look at this timing with the Spore Crawler is actually right on point here for Rogue. He seems ready for this. These Queens well-positioned as well. Right here in the front, able to parry this opening attack by Kira, and the Spore Crawler's already on this man. That's some pretty immaculate defense to start things out.
Yeah, looks like there's 1 Zergling attacking the command center. No SCVs have been transferred over there just yet. No 4th base for the Zerg yet. I mean, it's pretty hard to imagine the Zerg being able to reach out and seize any position. The creep spread has been so inhibited. And we got some more. Oh, we have 2 more E-bays coming down here. So there is going to be, upgrades coming down the road. But it looks like with the 2 medevacs out here, this is where we're going to see Kira try to really strike a position if he can find one.
Yeah, Ling production starting again here for Rogue. Actually, just a handful of Lings able to thwart the mining for a moment there at the 3rd base. But how often do we see Zerg in this position against Terran with such a significant upgrade advantage? There's only +1 attack started for the Terran. 1-1 for Zerg is already halfway done, Tasteless.
Yeah.
Rogue is really gearing up well for the mid-game and the late game already. If he can stop these next couple attacks from getting much damage done, I'm really liking the way Rogue is playing this right now. He hasn't really taken any damage besides getting that base canceled. He's coming in with Lings again at the 3rd base, going to get at least 1 SCV and force some more mining time loss.
Okay, he's finally going to be able to take out this last Zergling just north of the command center up here. But yeah, I mean, for most of this game, to what you were saying, State, Zerg's going to have an upgrade advantage. Zerg is basically just going to have a stronger army as long as Rogue can, start 2-2 right away.
And does Kira actually only have 1 engineering bay? He still hasn't started +1 melee armor. Rogue is about to finish 1-1. Melee attacks is about to finish here. These 2 medevacs not fully full, now working their way into the natural expansion. And this might give an opening here for Kira. He's going to try and come to the 3rd base. Only 1 queen to defend, so Rogue has to quickly split off these forces, and that's a tough position to attack into with Ling bailing as those Hellions and Reapers really maximizing the surface area. Marines now dropping at the 4th. Eventually this attack should get cleaned up, just barely not enough Lings.
Okay, some nice transfusions go down there. Rogue is really sustaining pretty well. Good sniping with those Marines onto the Banes as the medevacs are going to have to evacuate. This is one of these moments where you could see maybe a little bit inattentive there, almost losing way more drones than those 5. But Rogue's up on a 4th base. I mean, he's continuing to kind of push out on the map and be very present.
He's starting +2 melee attack and armor, and +1 infantry weapons isn't even done yet for Kira with no 2nd engineering bay upgrading. Yeah, I think he forgot it. He just started +1
that's
+1
crazy.
infantry armor. And oh my goodness, look at these Lings coming in. Those are 4 fresh mules.
You know, it's not every day we just see a player make kind of a basic mistake, like forgetting to make something or upgrade something, but this is one of those games. And now this counterattack's going to come in here. This is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, Rogue is playing this so well. He's even going to get the siege tank. The Baneling's coming in. The SCVs have to get lifted into the command center. Even more damage sustained here by Cure. 15 SCVs in total going down, as well as that siege tank, as well as those Marines. He was able to cancel the 4th base by being built by Rogue on his side of the map, but I mean, with the upgraded advantage here for Zerg, and with Rogue's defense being, honestly, so strong, plus these counterattacks, I'm liking his position so much. He's sitting happily on 70 drones. Eventually, the 6 o'clock base will be established here by Zerg. And I'm not sure Cure is really going to have enough army on the ground to deal with Rogue once 2-2 is done, because this upgrade advantage is going to be so big for so long for the Zerg player.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh my goodness,
my God.
classic
Here we
Rogue
go.
tactic! It's like he never left!
I know, that was so perfectly done. And he's actually going to try again. He burrows those two, but an immediate scan comes down. Some of the Banelings on the outside are morphing and will be gunned down before they can actually complete. I'm kind of stunned we're not seeing these just get insta-canceled. But anyways, here we go. It's going to be a push down here. Meanwhile, a big Link Baneling attack comes in. Hydra's up in the front. And, I mean, Rogue's going to be able to wipe this so easily.
Wow, what a defense by Rogue. The Ling's even getting surrounded here on the Marines.
I gotta say, Rogue is looking so good. It's funny, we don't really see those Baneling mines set up very often.
No, and that was his iconic play.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't casted that situation in GSL in a while, and I guess, yeah, it was when Rogue was gone. But, you know, just putting things out like that, you can create these great opportunities for yourself, and that's exactly what he did.
I mean, just Rogue's map presence is so attentive as well. He had those Lings situated there because he just knows that Cure, after losing that main army in the front, is going to have to resort to drop tactics to try and get some more damage done. And Rogue just with the Ehan sense to come in there and send the Lings at the exact right moment to spot the medevac coming in. I mean, his defense has just been so on point. Even now these medevacs working their way into the main base. Already one of them, luckily the empty one for Cure, getting taken out immediately by just 2 Hydras and a handful of Lings. And Rogue, he's working his way up to Hive Tech. He's already starting his Lurker Den. I am liking his play so much, but Cure is not out of this just yet. The upgrades are slowly equalizing. +2 infantry weapons is done now for Terran. And if Cure can find a way to start to slowly work into that 4th base of Zerg and not really let Rogue get the surround that he needs on the Marine tank, there is a world where he's able to get big damage done before the Hive Tech upgrades can come in.
Yeah, this drop in the main is going to be wiped out. There is a push down here at 6 o'clock. The drones have all been pulled behind the minerals. The Hydras, the Lings, and the Banes are going to come in. I think Rogue can barely save this.
Those Lings quite far forward, and actually Lings being able to get a good surround on a lot of them, and Rogue's just going to take the fight. He's boldly moving in. Hydra's focusing down. The siege tanks will then work on the medevacs as the Ling Bane just chase the Marines away.
It's like no Banelings necessary here to win these fights.
Well, it's +2 melee attack to +1 infantry armor because Cure forgot it in the early game.
I mean, Cure dropped the ball. It's very rare in a GSL we ever say something like that someone just forgot to make an upgrade. But yeah, 2 eBays and only one of them was getting the attack upgrade. The armor never really started, and so it's very, very late now. And that's why we're seeing a lot of these mismatched fights in the middle of the map where Zerg, you can see he'll kind of peek in, back away, and then go, no, I can actually kill that, and then just flatten it.
God, and even the one burrowed Zergling here for Rogue. Oh, he has another one right here in front of the 3rd base. He's playing this so well with the burrowed Banes, with the burrowed Lings getting map vision. It's like he has creep where he doesn't even have creep. He just knows where the Terran is moving. And now look at this Lurker count balloon here for Rogue. So many Lurkers out already. Seismic Spines is getting researched. Cure is now being made aware that he's going to have to deal with this position, and Rogue is going to use that to anchor the defense and then go for the counterattack with all his Ling Bane. This could be huge, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's going to try to get up into the main. The block is pretty tight, so he's not able to actually surround that with his Lings. He eventually spills through, and he'll be hitting both the 3rd base as well as the natural.
But look at the Lurkers and Banelings here, defending the 3rd and the 4th base of Rogue. Oh, he's going to move right forward on top of the Marines and the tanks with the Lurkers really just disrupting this positioning for Cure. Cure even having to lift that siege tank to keep it alive as he's going to rotate all the way to the 4th base. Behind this, Cure did clean up the counterattack by Rogue. Only 12 SCVs went down, but look at these Lurkers, man. They are so brave, just marching forward, sieging directly in front of the siege tank. This hatchery is even going to survive. What a defense by Rogue, man. He is looking so strong against one of the best Terran players in the world here in Game 1.
I mean, this is pretty wild. Here just can't get anything done on the map.
Oh my god!
Now there's going to be an opportunity to counterattack over at the 4th base for Terran. Rogue is looking so scary.
Rogue has almost been more cost efficient than a Terran through the mid game, which is something we basically never see in this matchup.
Yeah, normally the edge that Zerg has is they can kind of throw everything at the Terran. If the Terran doesn't control perfectly, you know, then the Zerg just gets out way ahead. But every attack's been shut down. Zerg is nearly maxed out again. And I think, you know, we're going to see a not like even just a small counterattack like this, but probably a full-on a counterattack in just a little bit.
Yeah, man, I love this play by Rogue. Notice that Ling burrowed at the 4th base. He didn't burrow it to block the command center because he wanted this situation to occur.
Yeah.
He wanted the CC to land so that he could send it to Lings and get way more value than is delaying the CC. As a result, 10 SCVs go down. Kiera is stuck below 40 workers in total. And yeah, he is working with, oh god, wait, it's still only 3 command centers. He lifted the main.
Oh,
Kiera
I didn't
is
even notice
feeling
that.
the
You're right.
pressure.
Dude, that's so funny. I thought that was his 4th CC. It's not even. Yeah, I don't know if it's possible for Kiera to take this game from here. It just seems like we're probably going to have, you know, another attack come in here and break this position. The CC's actually burning down, by the way. It's not being repaired.
And more Lings coming in. The siege tank not sieged up. I mean, these Lings just getting so much done. Almost got that siege tank taken down. That's just it. Kiera knows he does not have a chance against the fully armed Rogue. And he looked so good, Tasteless. We were talking before the show about what kind of Rogue we're going to be seeing today. If it's going to be a slow build for him coming back to championship form or not, but he just took down one of the best Terran players in the world, and he made it look easy. And Kiera did not play that one perfectly, but Rogue made it so hard for him to actually navigate that mid game with the burrowed Ling spotters, with the burrowed Bailings, with the counterattacks, with the super fast lurker tick, which I feel like we almost never see in this matchup anymore.
Yeah, I feel like, right when I saw it, I went, oh, that's funny. This almost looks like a StarCraft 1 comp or something where you have lurkers like later on in the game versus Terran. Anyways, Rogue dominated, could not have played better. Kiera had a very good start, missed an upgrade, but I think even if he had the upgrades, it just seems like Rogue was, you know, navigating the entire fight so perfectly. I don't know if it would have changed the game had Kiera not missed a beat. Anyways, guys, Site Delta here for map number 2. Let's go.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now.
All right, Kiera spawning in the bottom right is the blue Terran. Rogue in the top left.
Okay.
As the red Zerg, and if you can't beat him in a macro game, Tasteless, you know what time it is.
Time to cheese him out. So is this going to be 2 or 3 SCVs sent out? I
It's
only
like
see
just the 2.
Okay. Because we've had the 3 racks used as well. And then, of course, we've had it where it's 2 racks, and then the 3rd racks is hidden.
Oh, look at this spot that he's going to plant this as well. I'm not sure I've seen this proxy location before in TBZ on Site Delta.
It feels like it's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, well, I mean, Zergs have gotten so good with their scouting pattern with the Overlord. You see the first Overlord moving down into the 9 o'clock base and then going to be moving kind of down the pathway where Terran would potentially plant barracks if they were going to proxy them in most situations. And the second Overlord as well is just kind of moving horizontally across the top 4th of the map. So I'm not sure Rogue is going to spot it. This might be the situation where the Overlord is barely going to miss the 2 barracks right in the center of the map. But Rogue behind this, he's not playing super greedy. He's getting his spawning pool and his gas up relatively quickly behind that hatchery. And how close is this Overlord going to get? Look at the shift cues.
Yeah, unless he changes that. Every once in a while we'll see a pro that has it set, and then he'll just go somewhere else. He's going to see it, and he's going to find this at an angle state where he'll see it, and Kiera won't know that he's been spotted because it's on the high ground.
Yeah, Kiera just doesn't
know
know
yet.
yet.
So this is like, yeah, so he wants to pull away. He doesn't want to show him that he knows. Now, is that going to be enough to actually stop the rush? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, 3rd SCV is now joining the fray. 2nd Marine just finished up. Oh, it's going to be the triple bunker rush.
Oh, my God, the old select rush from a million years ago.
Yeah, drones are getting pulled. Spinecrawler getting dropped here in the natural expansion, but the wall is already up as we have a little bit of a lag there.
A little lag spike. Now, because the Marines are on the other side, they can't rush the spine crawlers. So you're like locked out, which does allow the Zerg to kind of try to come up with a plan. I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm really curious. This is, again, kind of an old idea that's not really used that much anymore. He does move them through the bunkers. This is where the Marines can be really abusive. Until those spines are finished, it is going to be very, very tough for the Terran to fight it.
Yeah, and any damage that can be done on those spine crawlers early is going to be really beneficial here for Cure moving forward, because those spines are the linchpin of the defense here for Rogue.
There's something funny about it's true in StarCraft 1 and 2. It's hard to get the spine right in range of the bunker without taking damage.
It's very finicky, but I think he might have gotten it. My question is, does the Hatchery actually have enough HP that he can do this?
Yeah.
The spine on the left side is taking damage from the bunker, and oh man, these SCVs being able to use the wall and just repair on the flank side is so good.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize, yeah, that one spine in the middle is, yeah, actually, I think both are taking damage. So I think had he actually put them in the right spot, it would be a different story, but I think that the fact that the spine crawlers had to shuffle away, this hatchery should go down. I don't think there's going to be enough transfuses here. The Lings are actually stuck behind the Queen as he comes down.
I think you got to wait here as Rogue to be able to take down one of these bunkers and then try to flood it. But man, the spines are just so low on HP. This one even has to work its way to the back. That's a tough position here for Rogue. Now, link speed is nearly done, about 10 seconds out.
So, you know, is there a play from here?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with this spine crawler going down, he might not even be able to break it. That's it.
Hey, it worked. Well done.
Kira is truly the villain in this story.
Hey, I dig it. I kind of like it. Look, you know, that's funny. We haven't casted that rush in a long time.
It's been a minute.
The 3 racks wall. I didn't even know if it was going to be tight on that position on that map or not. But it worked out. Now, it's funny, Kier wins that. He doesn't look too excited, I think, because he knows, well, he can't do that again, right?
Site Delta is one of those maps with the ramp with the perfect size to actually make that happen.
Right.
You know, it's a lot harder to execute on other maps. And that's also a win that isn't really, of course it is a test of skill. This is a game of StarCraft, but it doesn't really indicate how this next game is going to go. And given how strong Rogue looked on Oceanborn, I'm wondering if Kira can steal one away here on Halcyone, because Rogue looked so solid in that game 1 in the macro game when he was able to power up straight into the mid game. I'm not sure Kira could really hang with him right now. We're going to have to see. This is a map that's a little bit better to push here for Terran. Can Kira use that to deliver a win? Let's find out.
Okay, so Terran here in the top right, Zerg in the bottom left. I almost did it where I got too excited because I saw an SCV leaving. Then I'm like, no, he's going to make the depot at his entrance. This is not that same rush. Let's see if he does that double racks Reaper pressure. It's funny, obviously in game 1, not getting the armor upgrade when you make 2 eBays, I mean, that's really bad, right? You don't even have to be like a master level player to, you know, you can't make that mistake.
It's a bad one.
You have to be making units. You have to be getting your upgrades. But, excuse me, game 1, Rogue showed such a command of the matchup. He was so good at basically hanging on with as little as possible, even when his creep tumors and his third base were delayed. He still was able to balloon out on the map. So I want to see what Kira can bring here as far as kind of a push macro game against someone like Rogue. By the way, I think you would be in agreement with me on this state. Rogue clearly is already in great shape coming back.
Yeah, I mean, him qualifying for GSL in the first place, given how fierce the competition is out in Korea, just already indicated what shape he's in. But actually seeing him play here on LAN in the studio, and that game 1, very impressive from Rogue. And I was especially impressed with his map vision. Even without the creep tumors, he was sending Lings out at the exact right moment to catch medevacs that were out of his view.
Yeah.
And intercept them and then follow them. And on top of that, he had burrowed Lings in positions to spot army move-outs. He had burrowed Banelings to intercept move-outs and get huge damage on Marines that really took the oomph of a lot of the pushes that Kier was going for. He had Lings burrowed by command center spots to know when that CC lands, to know when he can counterattack and get economic damage done. There were so many good moves that Rogue made, but what I'm really afraid of is whether he can actually hold on against a very sharp timing if Cure wants to play that game here on Alcyone, because we've seen many Terran players in the past just outright kill Zergs, pushing in through the center of the map and delaying or destroying that third hatchery, because with middle of the map control here on Alcyone, with that watchtower and also with siege tanks just slowly leapfrogging into range of that third hatch,
right,
things can snowball out of control very quickly for the Zerg on defense. I'm not sure Rogue will really be able to spread out across the map and control territory quite as well as he did in game number 1, if that is the build that Kier goes for here in game number 3.
It's funny. We were talking about what good shape Rogue is in right now. Just seeing how he won, game 1, and I mean game 2. I think just kind of speaks for itself. The strategy, was pulled off. The rush worked. But it's also funny because it did also look like a game where Rogue wasn't comfortable with the 3 Reaper opening. Does that make sense? And the thing is, you can have both of those worlds. You can have a game where the player is like, okay, wait, what is going on? These Reapers are hitting me so fast, and then still deal with it and win.
Even this game, Rogue seems a little bit offbeat.
He doesn't seem as good as the other Zerg players at just stopping the rush immediately. You know what I mean? Like, when you get hit with these kind of attacks enough, you end up with all these little protocols that kind of shut down any of the moves they're going to do. You can see he doesn't have that yet, so he's probably taking a couple more bruises than he needs. At the same time, he's still getting to where he needs to be. He's still kind of macroing and ballooning out on the map.
Yeah, Kira this game going for pretty similar build to previously. This time 3 Reapers instead of 4, going into the double Hellions with a really quick third command center. Liberator all the same. Last game, or game number 1, I guess I should say, game 2 is so fast. It almost feels like game 1 was the last game. Rogue was very on point with his queen positioning and his spore crawlers. He had, I think, 6 out of 8 queens, all defending the third and the natural against the ground attack, against the Hellions, against the Reapers. He was able to parry that very effectively. And then with just the 2 queens left over, was able to completely thwart the harassment that Kier went for with the Liberator. I'm hoping the story is going to be the same here for Rogue, because I feel like he really needs things to go his way here in the early game if he's going to survive in the mid game against Kira on this map, because Kira is one of the best Terran players in the world at pushing through the center if he really wants to push through the center.
So the roaming is going to continue on. This is, in a lot of ways, a recreation of game 1, by the way. We've got the Hellions and the Reapers out on the map. We have the Liberator being sent to... I'm sorry, where did the Liberator actually go? I can't find it now on the mini-map.
Yeah, where is it? I think it's all the way. I think it's going towards a 9 o'clock position right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, over here.
I see it now.
There is an Overlord to spot it, so Rogue should not be caught with his pants down here. He is making 2 more queens, so 1 in the natural, 1 in the main base, and also Spore Crawlers, once again, although it's off camera, you can see on the production tab, they just finished up. So this timing here is impeccable from Rogue. Game 1 and Game 3, he seems to really have a good feel on how this build develops for Terran, and that's impressive too, considering this kind of 2 barracks on the low ground Reaper play did not really exist back when Rogue was in his peak form. This is something relatively new.
This is hyper modern, what we're having here. I feel like we saw it mostly with Beyond, but it seems like everybody's just sort of picked it up. By the way, Beyond not always the guy that's dictating builds in the matchup, but it did seem like he was the one that really made this one kind of a mainline build.
This time, Kieran not forgetting +1 infantry weapons as 1-1 starts here for Terran right away. 1-1 for Zerg, should be soon behind. Really quick burrow as well, so certainly going to be seeing more burrowedlings and banelings.
So he takes out that Overlord. The classic pressure move onto the 4th base. This is one where he would ideally want to force a cancel. I don't think it's going to happen. He is going to come in here. Sweep through. Does get a couple drone kills. It's going to be harder to do more than this. I like the Liberator over here on the side.
6 drones actually already going down to these Marines and to the Liberator in the main base. And actually, I'm a little bit worried here for Rogue. He's out of position for these 2 medevacs dropping into the main.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried for Kier too, though. I mean, Kier doesn't normally go this deep into the game here. I think he's really searching for damage.
That medevac solo on HP. Failing speed not done yet, so Kier can really micro this, especially off creep.
Yeah, if he can get the queen, he's going to have a much better time.
Those are the only 6 failings that Rogue has right now. They're getting focus fired down there by Cure really well, but they do finally get some good connections, and a medevac falls.
That was a really interesting interaction that we had back there. That could have gone either way. Rogue barely wins that fight, and now the pressure from the drops is no more. the Hellions and the Reapers do come in and wipe out some Creep Timbers, but overall I would say that this is, it's going fine for Rogue right now. By the way, 1-1, did not miss any upgrades. Everybody's hitting their marks on the upgrades, so this is a game where we're going to be, for both players, where they're supposed to be as things develop, unlike Game 1.
This is a little bit more typical of a TVZ with Terran just a step or two ahead in terms of the upgrades compared to the Zerg. I love those 4 injured Marines just coming back again, trying to get some damage.
So he's like not looking to, they just get blown up.
Actually, this might get taken down. It's going to go through a Spore Crawler. These Queens moving forward. Can they get the shots off? No. Line of sight blocker, but so close. And now the push is going to come through the middle. 3 Siege Tanks. All of the Reapers and Hellions survive, by the way, so they're going to be able to transform into Hellbats, and those grenades also against the Queens could be quite useful here for Cure. And this is what we were talking about at the start of the game. This push through the center can be very difficult to stop here for Zerg. Hydra's only just now starting production. Baneling speed is done. 1-1 completed for both players. I think Rogue might have barely enough to hold on against this push, Tasteless, but it's going to be close.
Okay. This is a push, but it's not that much of a threat yet. It hasn't, you know, normally the threat really starts when one tank can start to hit the hatchery. That's where the clock is put on the Zerg. They have to do something to deal with this. Right now, Rogue is basically able to stay back. He's not going to be losing workers. His hatcheries are still not taking any damage. And I don't know how much further forward Cure can get from here. He's going to instead try to use these Marines to come out, stem, maybe hit the hatchery when he can. They had some drones being transferred over there to that base, the 5th base here for Zerg right now.
Yeah, I love this small move here by Cure, just trying to shred any value he possibly can. But oh wait, is he a little bit out of position? His Rogue is going to pounce on the Siege Tanks in the center. Lings and Banelings flooding in from the left side. And Cure is just getting driven out of the center of the map. It's a massacre there, as Cure was looking to get all the value he could with that small group of units on the bottom side, but neglected to defend the Siege Tanks. And suddenly the anchor of his defense in the center of the map is gone. He's going to have to reinforce, but I'm worried now for Cure that Rogue might have just taken a little bit too good of a fight, because this next round of production is going to come through with more Hydralisks, with more Banelings. Cure's army on the ground is still larger than Rogue's, but that was a big win, I think, for Zerg.
I'm worried that if this next push is wiped out, it's going to be way too hard for Terran to get a 4th base up here. He's coming in here immediately after this. Maybe Cure was a little bit too slow to reinforce, and that's why that push was wiped out so cleanly.
Marines almost got fully surrounded there by the Lings. Gotta be careful there as Cure. It seems like he's going to be setting his eyes on this 6 o'clock base as the primary target. Liberators now also in double production, as medevacs have stopped, and Cure really wants his hatchery on the bottom side. Your eye on the minimap, by the way.
I think he can actually get this hatch.
He might be able to, but keep your eye on the minimap, Tasteless. There's a big arc set up by a Rogue.
Oh, he goes for it. He just targets it down. Interesting to see the Rogue never tried to dive in and save it. Clearly he thinks that maybe that would have been an overextension.
Bailing's on move command, actually able to get some really good hits on those Marines. This army here for Rogue, very strong. Liberators sieging up. This could be his time to go. Hydras and Queens trying to focus down the Liberators. Banelings and Lings both on the top and bottom sides, not getting the best connections. Those Siege Tanks are in such good defensive spots. I think Cure might have just broken him.
Yeah, I think you might be right. That was a little bit of a sloppy attack. A lot of those units wrapping around the long way, and the tanks just able to optimize their damage. It really makes you appreciate this position on the map and that big cavity in the middle, and how the tanks can be set up, bringing it around that. And just so many extra shots are going to be connected. The next move is going to be to try to come here onto where the 3rd base is. There's going to be another attack down here. Banes are going to be trying to come right through the middle here.
Yeah, Marines microing away from the Banelings, so those connections don't come through, and they don't. I think that's going to be it for Rogue.
I think he's dead. GG. Okay, that was a hell of a match.
Wow.
That was a great match. Cure does win, but man, he had to work for it.
Yeah, Rogue looked pretty good with that first defense, but the follow-up attack just a little bit too much. We were talking about it before the game even started, that on how Saiyani Cure with these pushes through the center of the map can be so deadly, and that's the kind of thing that unless you're completely on your game, as Zerg, it can be nigh impossible to defend there. And Rogue, although he showed how well he can play, perhaps to the beat of his own drum there in game number 1, where things can just flow freely, when he has to play that really tight game there in game number 3, he did struggle a little bit. That's the kind of thing that takes time, coming back from military service, to really iron out.
Yeah, well, You know, Kier moves on to that winner's match. Guys, we're going to have a short break. Coming up next, match 2 here of Group C. It's going to be Stats versus Dark. You do not want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Strong.
I've been working all day, yeah, I hustle all week. I've been grinding every month, every year here comes the beast. All the haters try to doubt me, I don't even have to speak. Cause the proof is in the pudding, they gon' put me on repeat. Told my people watch, just you wait and see. Keep it going around the clock, there's only one of me. Sundown the sun up on me lead, I don't recognize defeat. Yeah, I specialize in triumph, you can't never mind this, never mind. What's the difference between heroes and villains? All it is their opposing missions. And I already know how it's gonna end, cause I knew from the start that I was born to win.
I got medals round my neck, I'm cashing everybody's check. When it's sink or swim, I was born to win. I got medals round my neck, I'm cashing everybody's check. When it's sink or swim, you can't stop me, I was born to win.
Top, oh yeah, I'm going for the goal. It's the throne, that's my spot, no matter whatever you told. I don't see no competition, not to mention what I'm posed. Taking over, crashing ceilings, baby, I'ma do the most. Standing firm, 10 toes, ain't no backing down. I'm going hard in the field, I'm a savage now. Don't be appalled, it get real about the action automatic. I bring the static to anybody asking round. What's the difference between heroes and villains? All it is their opposing missions.
안녕, 나는 수다고의 똑순이 선도부를 맡고 있는 권희슬이라고 해.
귀염둥이 효창이야.
오늘 반장 선거가 있는데 꼭 날 뽑아줘.
나를 반장으로 뽑아주면 나의 사랑을 많이 줄게. 안녕.
안녕, 나는 수다고의 똑순이 이영경이라고 해. 오늘 우리 학교 반장 선거가 있는데 내가 출마할 거거든. 권희슬과 김효진은 걔네는 남의 말을 듣지 않아. 내가 반장이 된다면 너희들의 말을 정말 귀 기울여 잘 들어줄게. 꼭 날 뽑아줘. 파이팅! 안녕, 나는 수다고의 선도부를 맡고 있는 권희슬이라고 해. 오늘 반장 선거가 있는데 내가 출마해서 너희들을 괴롭히는 모든 사람들 내가 다 처단해줄게.
안녕, 나는 수다고의 귀염둥이 효창이야. 나를 반장으로 뽑아주면 나의 사랑을 많이 줄게. 안녕. 진짜 LG일집에 있는 것 같은데.
매콤한 떡볶이를 먹자 먹자. 바삭한 튀김도 난 좋아 좋아.
아니, 너 오기 전에 이슬이가 나한테 성경아, 나 학교 다닐 때 찐따였어? 이렇게. 뭘 쏘게.
뭐 지금 여기서 한풀이 하는 거야?
이게 내 수험표 사진이야.
오, 예뻐.
나는 저런 애들하고 친구 안 했어. 미안해. 나도 너 같은 애랑 친구 안 했거든?
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to go into this next match, and I want to see how Stats can fare here. It's exciting to see that Rogue is in good form. I think he's still a threat. I think he can still get out of this group. But going up against Dark here for Stats, I am very interested in seeing if Stats can actually win in a very Stats-like fashion. His kind of long, drawn-out macro, defend, and ultimately just be further ahead style of play. I feel like it's one of the hardest things to make work.
He was able to do it in the previous season against Dark and a variety of other opponents, working his way all the way up into the round of 4 in a return to form that was so exciting to see. But I feel like Dark can go and look back at those games and kind of retool and re-kit here for Season 2 and come with some solutions to the puzzle that was Stats' defensive play and that opening series last season. I mean, it's only been a couple of weeks, so Stats, I'm sure he's been refining his craft. For Dark, I'm not sure that's enough time for him to really draw up the plans that he needs to stop this play, because, I mean, the new PvZ meta with Protoss players, especially like Stats, being so good at surviving through the mid-game and getting the mothership out so quickly, the carriers out so quickly, and really abusing recall in a way that I feel like the game designers originally intended from the beginning with StarCraft 2, where it almost feels like the arbiter of StarCraft 1, was so refreshing to see. And I don't know. Dark, I think of him as always one of these Zergs that's the best of the mid-game, the best of the late game.
Yeah,
very creative, clever tactics. I was surprised that he was so confounded in the previous season, but here in season number 2, I think it's going to be a lot closer of a fight.
Yeah, it should be a good match. Dark probably the favorite by a lot here. A player that was actually doing some rushes from time to time as well as macro games. I feel like Dark is more macro games now than he was in the past. But yeah, let's see what happens here. And maybe Stats breaks his mold as well here. I mean, he could try a timing attack or something like that as well.
Yeah, he might. We'll have to see. Game 1 is loading up on Site Delta as we look to see who is going to join Cure in the winners match. Stats versus Dark.
Okay, in the bottom right here, we've got Stats. In the top left, we have Dark. And, you know, I've always been a big fan of Stats' style. I feel like he's one of those players, he's really good to study.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, you can, I mean, I think everybody does this. They'll copy a weird cheese build or some kind of weird zany idea that one of the pros has here. Another great piece of art. Is that the same person as before?
Might be. Look at that shading.
But yeah, I feel like when you watch Stats play and the fact that he almost always goes for the conservative route.
Oh, tasteless. Dark is going for proxy hatchery, I think.
Oh, wait a minute.
Look at this drone. It did not go to the third base.
Ooh, okay. Is this going to be the one where he just makes it in the natural, or will it be one where he makes it outside the front?
I think it will be. And oh, look at the second drone in the main base, just skirting around the edges, waiting for that probe to come in. What are you going to do, Dark? What are you doing with this hatchery? Plants the natural down first, then comes in here.
Yeah,
there you go.
Every time I see this, I feel like it's wrong. Like this can't be the way to play, but it clearly works, or we wouldn't see it at this level of play.
7 probes pulled, by the way, here for Stats.
So the idea is you want to have enough probes that it will actually curb the health bar from going up.
Yeah. Since you can see it's taking about 10, maybe 15 damage a second there on the hatchery, so actually does get canceled relatively quickly. Ooh, that drone almost even getting surrounded by the probes.
So, obviously the Nexus is delayed. Can he delay it again?
Oof. Was able to block at least a couple of seconds there on Stats. Nexus finally does go down. Gas taken in the main base, so no assimilator shenanigans here from Dark either. And I don't really know if that was worth it there for Dark. He was able to delay the Nexus a little bit, but when all is said and done, might be a little bit too expensive here for Zerg to really, delay your third hatchery versus delaying the Protoss natural expansion, plus costing all the minerals, and this drone has been mining this entire time. I think on paper this has to be a little bit better for Stats, but oftentimes when you go against a player, especially one of these really macro oriented players, whether it be a Protoss or a Terran, if you're able to just disrupt their build order from the very beginning and they get a little bit offbeat, they can lose a lot of momentum.
Oh, yeah.
So that might be more of Dark's game plan here, so just get stats out of his element here in the early game, even if it's not on paper the most advantageous thing to do. And then try to play the mid game from there. By the way, nice control here with these Lings, getting a lot of damage done on that Adept.
Yeah, if you can just get in there and start to try to trip him up in any way, it's annoying, man. You know, getting every single thing in your build order out as soon as physically possible is so important, and to get that slowed down. By the way, he made a bunch more Lings.
I mean, like, what, 12 more Lings or something?
I think so.
He has to have a response, I guess, to these 2 Adepts coming into the main base.
Well, he doesn't quite have enough where he can surround him for now.
Yeah, the shade was really good there by stats, too. Nice timing, but oh, the surround coming in here, the natural expansion, not quite, I guess. The attempted surround, I liked it there for Dark. Was able to get at least one of those Adepts.
This drone's still in here. Protoss is going for the Void Ray variation of the Stargate opening here. A lot of times this just sets you up to have a third base really easily. Although you can't really do that much. The fact that he scouts that that's a Void Ray being made is a pretty big deal. Because this really, that'll signal to Dark that he can do whatever he wants for a while here on the map. He can just drone up. The Void Ray can't really be used to counterattack here. There is an Oracle being made behind it.
Yeah, but the Oracle is going to be so much later than usual, and that means that Dark can delay his Spore Crawlers. You can have those drones mining for longer than you would otherwise, and it might even open up an opportunity here for Dark to potentially go for some kind of early aggression. I'm wondering if we're going to see him airlift something like 4 to 6 Queens here at the third base and go for a killer move, because against Void Ray openings, that can be quite powerful if you're able to get some damage done early on with the Lings, like delaying that third Nexus. Have to wait and see here what Dark's game plan is going to be. The Void Ray and the Oracle over here should be able to deflect these Lings. That Oracle is not doing its job of protecting the Adept, though. Might go down. In fact, Dark going to play it quite conservatively, just retreat with these Zerglings, but I mean, the fact that he's been able to delay his Spore Crawlers for so long, very advantageous here for Dark.
So that third base is going to come up. We see the Forge and the Twilight Council. It's going to be a slow game here from Protoss. He is going. I mean, he's going to be doing exactly what we kind of talked about. Stats likes to do. Whoa!
It's a Nidus, Queen
but
Nidus.
It might not be a slow game from Zerg here. So Zerg is going to try to hit that kind of macro style Achilles heel, because you're just going to be focusing on development. Okay, now was he going to get up here and see this? Oh my God. Okay, if
Pretty
he
close.
can just get a Nidus in the main, this game will probably end. It's going to be mass Lings. Now, the Void Ray is all the way on the other side of the map. It can be recalled, of course. Yeah, where does he want to hit exactly? He's got a couple Lings going out of the map. Oh, interesting. It's not going to be inside the main. I stand corrected. It's going to be just outside the third.
Yeah, you can't go into the main base because that Void Ray scooped up all the Overlords in the early game. So instead, just going to be going for the third base. But 7 Queens and a ton of Lings coming out in that third is going to be dangerous here for stats. That Shield Battery not done just yet. Nidus Canal, first one is up, second one is coming here into the third. Shield Battery still not completed. It is going to get focused down immediately. The Probe's not able to dislodge the Lings from surrounding it. And I like the whole position micro here from stats, but there might just be a little bit too much Zerg here. I mean, all the Queens and all the Lings just kind of paring down on this Nexus, and stats just going to allow it to go down. Instead, he's going to look for the counter damage. I like this decision from him, but is he really going to be able to get that much done, Tasteless?
I mean, let's see. The Oracles are going to come out. He's going to try to do some damage. He is going to get a couple drones here, but I mean, look, there's nothing that should necessarily prevent the Zerg from continuing the push from the third base into the natural. And if he gets the natural expansion here, this entrance that we're looking at right now, if that goes down, I think this game's over.
I feel like Dark cannot break the natural expansion for the foreseeable future. He's going to have to wait until at least, I would think, Hydralisk enter the field, as that Hydralisk is about halfway done now. But still, he is levying a lot of pressure on his stats.
Yeah, I think that this Nidus gets denied. He should probably make that a little bit further back. It's definitely telegraphing how all in he was back there. Actually, I got to stand corrected. There's 8 drones being made. Actually, stats probably should not have moved out this far.
Yeah, he is going to be able to use this Shield Battery at the top of the ramp to try and, a little bit later on the overcharge means he doesn't actually get to save one of those Stalkers, but
he's going to have Blink now. Okay, so Dark's going to ditch this. In fact, he might have even made that Nidus at the front like that to make it look like he's all in, when he's not, because he was making drones as the Nidus was morphing in. It's a funny thing. Just showing the Nidus, it is such a strong signal for some players that they will totally overreact. And we've seen this before where from Dark, actually from Rogue as well, although I don't know if we're going to have it today. But yeah, kind of putting a Nidus in your face like that, but then just making drones behind it. The Protoss can end up way over defending. So it's going to be a 4-base Zerg versus, it's going to be a newly minted 3rd base here for Protoss very soon.
He's expanding to the 3 o'clock position, and I'm wondering if Dark actually did get enough done, because Dark has been sitting on a relatively fully saturated 3-base economy for about a minute and a half now, whereas stats just completely reset down to 2 Nexus, that main base even mining out slightly here, I think. So this economy, not as good as it potentially could be, but he did a pretty good job of managing that situation as best as possible. I mean, yeah, the Nexus did go down. A lot of damage was dealt at that 3rd base, but the probes were able to evacuate, or at least a good number of them were able to. While the army was retained, Stats didn't over-encumber himself by just committing all of his resources to defending the 3rd, was very wise in defending, and now he's getting his Storm Tech up. He's adding in the Robotics Bay. The 3rd base will soon be online here for Protoss, and Storm's already researching, so I don't think this game is close to being over unless Dark decides to really ramp up the pressure here on Stats.
So, you know, for now, he's going to try to poke it with these Stalkers over and over again. I don't know how much he's going to get done here. Obviously, you will shave off a couple of Lings, but it seems like when you have this many Hydras, it's kind of hard to get much more done with Blink Stalker. And we have, I'm sorry, was that Lurkers being morphed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to have Lurker Tech coming up here. I would be surprised if it's a very straightforward push from here for the Zerg.
I think you might be right about that. I'm just wondering how much Dark is really going to be able to get done. I feel like if Stats is able to catch wind that a Lurker push is coming, which he should have. Oh, they're on hold position right now. Oh, finally attacking so much damage.
That was crazy.
Oh, and the Nidus. I forgot about the Nidus actually tasteless. He's going to pop it right back into what was the 3rd base there for Protoss, because I was thinking, how is Dark going to move all the way across the map with these Hydras and Lurkers off creep while not sustaining damage? Well, this is how you do it, but look at this timing here by Stats coming in with the Observer and the Zealots just in the nick of time.
You know, it's funny, I have the same thing. Like, when I see a Nidus get denied, I'm like, sometimes I'll, in my head, think, like, well, it's over now. Actually, you can do it as many times as you want, as long as you have one back at home.
Even this Immortal catching the follow-up Nidus. So Stats really knows that Dark is itching for a push. Second Robo now coming down from Stats, as it seems he's going to be committed to trying to defend here on the ground, not in the air. It's Dark now going for a relatively conservative Nidus. Oh, those Lings, if they can get the surround there on the Immortal, could be a really big win here for Dark. We'll be able to take that down. Almost,
I thought he was
almost
gonna have
missed
it for
it.
a second.
And if these Lurkers get in the position here between the Natural and the 3rd base, this is going to be so hard to unseat here for Stats. The Stalkers are still cross-map, looking to intercept any reinforcements, but the standing army here for Stats, maybe not enough to actually thwart this push. It's just Templar here at the 3rd base.
I mean, this is pretty wild, man. The Storms are coming down. They're going to be hitting these Lurkers. The Stalkers, I think, are in a good enough position. Yeah, this is an overextension by Dark.
Wow, what a win there for Stats. Yeah, the Stalkers cross-map just do enough to intercept the reinforcements and just kind of section off Dark's armies. And that means the reinforcements didn't come through, and then he's able to just kind of pounce on this position right outside his Natural in 3rd. And look at all this damage. These are all the Queens that Dark has. A huge Storm drops. Dark has to evacuate this position. The Lurkers are going to go down as well. Wow, what a hold by Stats. I mean, talk about rolling with the punches this game.
This is pretty crazy. By the way, double Robo Immortal. You know, it's Stats kind of winning on his own terms right now, right? Just defending, trying to push through, completing all of the tech, getting all of the upgrades. Dark is going to take a 5th base. It is a pretty late 5th base, all things considered, but part of that is because Dark was trying to win the game on four bases, basically just come through and close the game out. Yeah, I mean, there is possibly going to be a counter push here from Stats. In fact, he's going to send Stalkers over here to the side, maybe to try to snipe and harass over there.
I really like it.
Yeah.
Given how low the Ling count has been from Dark pretty much all throughout the mid game, being able to maneuver with these Stalkers like this is so effective, but he has to be careful about these Hydras. If the Hydras can actually get a reasonable concave, his slings are mostly just trying to play...
the Hydras will kill these Stalkers immediately if they can actually engage with them.
But I think a good reason why Stats was actually able to hold on against that Lurker push is that he had those Stalkers cross-map all the time, slowly shaving away the link count of Dark and just causing problems for him. So the fact that Stats, once again, recognizing this situation where there really haven't been that many Lings is a big win for him. But little does he know, Dark actually just made a huge round of production of Lings and Hydras. These Stalkers maybe now overextending just a little bit, going to try and blink further away with all these Lings. I mean, there's 46 on the map. It's a lot to contest, but still, the standing army for Stats in the middle of the map is quite huge. There is so much Storm on those Templar.
Yeah, some good Storm connections could totally win the game. It's kind of a funny situation here. Stats is going to be pushing into a nearly maxed out Zerg. But if he can break the Zerg, the game should just end outright. Not actually mining from there. That can't be intentional.
I think Stats wants to hit this timing because he knows that was a Lair Tech Lurker push.
Right.
And he wants to hit it before Lurker range can be completed, because Lurker is really, in this early stages before range is up, the Protoss ground army can fight them quite well, and so he's going to try and take this engagement as early as possible. Templar, Immortal, and Archon's going to hold down the bottom flank as Archons and Zealots stream into the top side. Some nice control here from Stats to start things out, especially with these units slow off creep. Storm is running out, but the Immortal's holding strong, Tasteless. So much damage being dished out right now by Protoss.
This is kind of insane. Protoss was so spread out, but he managed to do a GG. Stats takes game number 1 versus Dark. I gotta say, the games today have been absolutely fantastic so far.
Yeah, this has been a really fun day of GSL, and we're only in the second match of the night. And Stats kind of proving that his first win against Dark in the previous season of GSL, not really much of a fluke, man. He has gotten so much better this year. Compared to the previous years, he is really looking like the Shield of Ire of old.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, you gotta be a fan of that. Just the way he handled that back there.
I mean, think about what he went through in that game. And sure, not all of the plays were the best ones there from Dark. Like the Proxy Hatchery, I don't think really paid for itself coming in from the Zerg, but it still was one more curveball thrown Stats' way. Then instead of going for the Queen drop, Dark going for Queen Ling Nidus, a play that he absolutely loves to do in ZVP. And Stats just making the smart call, you know, sacrificing some workers, forfeiting the third base, and then just having the presence of mind to know that, no, you don't have enough Lings to actually contest the Stalkers. I can whittle you back down. I can get counter damage. Just really cool level-headed play there from Protoss. And Stats is now one map win away from the winner's match. Let's see if he can close it out on Oceanborn.
Okay, Stats here in the top left, Dark in the bottom right. And, you know, Dark went with a very specific style that game. He wanted to get the Nidus up. He wanted to shut down the third base. I don't know if he had planned for it to be an all-in from there. Ridiculous strongman things. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of game he wants to play this time around. God, it's packed down here. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, this is a really packed crowd, actually, for a round of 16 day. So many fans want to see what is
this is
truly
by
one of
far
the best groups.
Yeah, this is the best group for sure. I mean, if you're going to pick one day to come down to the studio, this is definitely a good one to come on.
You know, if you think about the peak form of the players in this group, this might be, if that was the world we were living in, on paper, this might just be the strongest GSL group ever. For a round of 16, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
Cure, Dark, Stats, and Rogue is an unbelievable lineup.
So in that last game, we saw the Nidus play. Again, I said I don't know if it was planned out to be like an all-in that was going to close the game out, or if he always intended to drone up after he takes the third base out. But yeah, I mean, Dark made most of that strategy work, and then when he tried to get the closer by getting a Nidus up to hit with the Lurkers, it totally backfired and blew up in his face. Now, Stats, being the kind of player he is, he's basically willing to undergo all sorts of complicated games before he's able to get to wherever he needs to be. Like, Stats' play style, I think he makes for really interesting games because people try to cheese him out and do crazy stuff. But what he's doing is actually pretty straightforward. He's just trying to build up all of his tech, get 4 bases or 5 bases, and with a very complete and balanced army, push out and win. And that's exactly what we had in that last game.
He's one of the best players in the world at just absorbing an attack and rolling with it. I think, thinking back in the history of StarCraft 2, the 2 Protoss players that stick out in most mind in that regard is Rain and Stats. Just masterclass defensive players. And
it's funny because there was a period where both those 2 were on top, and it was like, oh, is this how you're supposed to play Protoss? Is it not supposed to be cheesy or kind of hinged on timings or anything like that? But, you know, now, especially in the last couple of years, it's mostly been aggro Protosses and control Protosses that, you know, produce more results.
Yeah, it really feels like it's almost exclusively been Hero in the offline cups and Max Packs and the online cups that have been delivering good results for Protoss. And generally, it's with pretty low-tech, high-aggressive play. But Stats here proving in GSL Season 1 of 2024 that you can hang with the best. And Classic even kind of played the similar style, if you recall. They're really fast Stargates, really fast Mothership, very macro-oriented play in PvZ and also in other matchups. I feel like whenever Protoss has, as a race, by the way, these 2-lings getting in, scouting everything is so good. Might even get a pro for this. But Protoss is a race. Whenever you have players that are excelling both with defensive and offensive play is when the race thrives.
Yeah.
Because there are so many players you can learn from. There's so much that can be done. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I thought it was going to go down for sure. Sorry, you were like making this really great point, and then I'm like, oh, they're attacking Oracle. Sorry.
No, I also thought it might go down from those last 2 hits. But I guess just the point that I was getting at is given the previous patch and the map pool being, you know, I mean, let's not split hairs. This map pool really sucks for Zerg. I feel bad for the Zerg players right now a little bit because I kind of want to see. I know you don't,
these
but
sad Zerg players. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm curious what the patch would look like if it was on more neutral maps like the previous map pool because it's kind of hard to tell how much of it is the patch and how much of it is just the maps. But
yeah, that's true. We had a patch that came out. Oh my. Okay.
Man, I keep
Don't worry, one of these times we're going to be right and that thing's going to go down. We're going to look really smart when it happens.
Until then, we're just
Everyone will have forgotten about all the other times we overreacted to that thing not being killed.
Yeah, by the way, 6 Adepts and these Oracles will be coming out trying to find some damage. But just to quickly wrap up the point that I was getting, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to kind of a revitalization of the Protoss race with players like Stats, to a lesser extent Classic, kind of showing how you can succeed with slow defensive, adaptive macro play. And also players like Hero and Max Pax who are still very aggressive, getting a lot done with damage. And by the way, what a position here
I watched him
for
just
these Adepts.
wedge himself in there.
Oh my goodness,
Dude,
Tasteless.
That is sick. He's killed 5 drones, and that number is going to keep going up. He sees the Nidus. I don't know. I know that he went by it. I don't know that he like saw it with his eyes, like he knows it's coming. Because that was a kind of a chaotic moment. You know, he had 2 different attacks happening in 2 different spots.
So 2 more gateways are going to finish by the time this Nidus is finishing cross-map. Based on the movement of these Adepts and the Oracles and no more batteries going down, I don't think he actually knows it's a Nidus. I think it might be, in his mind, an Evolution Chamber, a Roach Warren, something production-focused getting thrown down. And yeah, you are getting damage done cross-map right now with Stats, but this is very scary. I mean, the lack of shield battery here at the 3rd base has me so concerned for Stats in this moment.
Oh
but Dark is losing a lot of lings with this. Second Nidus coming forward. 6 Queens marching slowly towards that 3rd base. Creep Tumor getting dropped.
Yeah, 1 Stalker over here that's going to be taken out immediately. The warp gates are about to finish, so we should have a big wave of warp-ins.
I think this is going to be the same story as game number 1, with Stats just kind of hunkering down to the natural expansion and saying, okay, you can't kill my 3rd, but as long as I don't take game-ending damage, I can survive this position.
He's going to kill this Nidus off. Okay, so once again, there's drones being made, by the way.
Yeah, it's very similar to game number 2, but I'm more concerned for Dark this time because I feel like...
Well, the damage he took earlier was really scary. Is Blink done?
Oh, no, I don't think Blink is done just yet.
Oh, no, it's not. No, I thought it had finished. My gosh.
Wow, shield batteries are busted. Look at that range.
Look at that. That is... that's a
I
pretty
thought
good
they were out of
ability.
range for a moment there, yeah. I mean, these Stalkers getting so much damage done. Battery overcharge finally going to expire now, so the Stalkers in the front will get taken out, at least 2 of them, maybe 3 from these Queens.
And Blink finishes up, which is going to give you a lot more mobility in this position.
Yeah, but now from this position here, his stats, with these Stalkers, they aren't really going to die to anything because Dark has been doing nothing but droning.
Well,
It's
this
just
is what's
Queens.
funny. Oh, I forgot there was a Nidus back here. I'm like, oh my god, the Queens are actually stuck on this side of the map. They can never walk home.
Oh, look at this adjustment here by Stats. He's throwing down another gateway cross map. This is the Protoss Nidus Tasteless.
This is it. This is so exciting. Okay,
He's
so
doing it back.
He takes out the Nidus. The Queens escape. The counter punch is going to be big.
And this is not the kind of play you typically see out of Stats. This
No.
is Stats really mixing it up here in this best of 3, where in game number 1, he absorbed the damage, absorbed the impact, re-expanded to the 3 o'clock side on site Delta, and expanded from there into really fleshing out his tech tree. Dark has been droning a lot. I don't think Hydralisk production has started. Bailing that's just now getting thrown down. The first 2 Hydras in production is Dark is only just now realizing the severity of the situation. +1 armor and charge getting started here for Stats. And now the reinforcements are going to begin streaming in from that proxy gateway. Does Dark actually have enough to stop this? That is so many Stalkers Tasteless.
Dude, this is a lot. There is a beautiful set of Oracles here in the back to just defend against the Lings. So many Stalkers, he might just blink on top of this. I think that we're about to see Stats 2-0 Dark. This is wild.
Yeah, he might. The Lings have been fully fleshed out, blinking forward, taking out almost all of the Queens, and now the Hydralisks again. Some of them are out, but there's no support. You have 1 Ling on the map right now is Dark. Drone's getting pulled, and Stats is blinking forward on top of the Zerg army. Wow, what a play here from Stats.
Yeah, and now the blink aways. The drones are going to come in here. They're not going to be enough. Stats is going to 2-0 Dark in a crazy upset here in Group C of the round of 16.
I said it in GSL Season 1. I'll say it again here in Season 2. Stats is back, baby. He is looking so good. Dark all the way down to 45 drones. Maybe with control he can win this, but I don't know, man. That is so many Stalkers. I feel like we're about to see Dark tap out.
Yeah, no, there's no way to stop this. GG. Stats 2-0 Dark. He's going to go up against Cure in the winners match here of Group C, as we've only got 2 spots remaining in the round of 8.
Damn, what a win by Stats. This guy is looking so deadly in PvZ right now, and really just showing that he can kind of do it all there in game number 2. That is the kind of move you would see from Hero, not from Stats. And Stats, we love his macro play, his defensive play, but he is at his best when he can mix in timing attacks just like that when the situation presents itself. Beautifully played series. Is Dark honestly looked a little bit outclassed, and that is not something people often say about Dark.
It's a bad moment here for Dark. This is a really tough group. This is an upset. I think everybody would agree that we all kind of expected Dark to beat Stats. No disrespect to Stats. Stats played a beautiful defending game, and I think he improved from game 1 into game 2. Really adapted to that style that Dark brought. Guys, a short break. We'll be right back.
flying. Girl, you take me away. No point in fighting, 'cause I keep loving you, babe. Ooh, you're never burning out. The fire is alive in your soul. Ooh, you're like the moon and the stars, and it's keeping me holding on. Move till the morning and keep me falling. My heart keeps running and stay the whole night. Ooh, you feel it, it's sexual healing, so don't be leaving and stay the whole night. Stay the whole night. Stay the whole night. With you I'm flying. Girl, you take me away. No point in fighting, 'cause I keep loving you, babe. You're never burning out. The fire is alive in your soul. Ooh, you're like the moon and the stars, and it's keeping me holding on. Leave till the morning and keep me falling. My heart keeps running and stay the whole night. Ooh, you feel it, it's sexual healing, so don't be leaving and stay the whole night. 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 Stay the whole night.
Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be Stats versus Cure. Great game so far today. Honestly, like both of our best of threes that we had were really interesting. Totally delivered here. We are going to have a ZVZ after this Rogue versus Dark for the elimination match, which that feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. In round of 16, Dark and Rogue, one of them is just going to get knocked out. The other one has to prove himself worthy to then go on to the round of 8. May not make it at all.
Yeah, but I mean, Cure just kind of proving in that first series after going down in game number 1 why he is such a force to be reckoned with here in the GSL and why a lot of players consider him to be easily a top 3 Terran player in the world, as he is just so hard to kill in these Best of X series. I feel like I've said it a million times, but it's like almost Maru, and Maru only can do it here in Korea. And we'll see if Stats is going to change that. He looked potentially even better than he did in the previous season in those PBZs against Dark. And I know both games Dark went for Queenling Nidus, so it's kind of not the best litmus test for exactly where Stats is at, but those are the kind of games that you play and you build some momentum, you gain some confidence. Stats going to be feeling really good coming in here against Cure.
All right, we're going to go to Oceanborn to start this best of 3 off here, a PVT to decide who will get that 7th spot in the round of 8.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's.
All right. Stats spawning is the blue Protoss in the bottom right, Cure in the top left, the red Terran.
So, I mean, if you guys hear us cast Stats, I feel like we do say this a lot, but I think this game is going to be no exception. Probably Stats on the defending end, Cure trying to be active and attack in there. A little bit of
Stats
Cure
and
support
Cure,
here.
yeah.
Well, that's another great drawing. These are so good. That is a drawing, right?
That is a drawing, yeah, that's impressive.
That is wild.
You know, all the best people in the world, they're GSL fans. Can you believe it?
They are, yeah.
Look at how many
All the
artists
most
we have in the
talented, skilled
audience.
people. Yeah, we've great signs in there.
This turns out watching StarCraft makes you a better human being.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
You're more moral. Everybody online right now, nothing but, leaders of countries and CEOs. All watching. Taking a break from helping the world to just, see who's going to get to the round of 8.
Well.
Okay, so this is going to be double gas.
Yeah.
Probably a 1-1-1 build.
You would think so here from Cure. A little bit of cheese to start things out. I wonder how heavily he's going to lean into the double gas 1-on-1. Coming in here against Stats as this pro pops in. So use the barracks. And should quickly scurry away. And this poor SCV with some pretty bad RNG. Taking quite the beating, but look at this. Only 2 in each geyser. So it's not going to be that much of a tech-heavy 1-1-1, I think. It's going to be faster tech with a faster command center than you would normally see in a game. And I wonder how much of this is Cure just trying to throw Stats off a little bit in terms of openings, because this can come across as a lot more aggressive than it actually is, with the command center already being thrown down. I mean, as Protoss players generally at a higher level, one of the big tells in terms of whether Terran is going to be levying a lot of pressure on you in the early game is if they have a command center on the low ground, or if when you send your scouting probe, there's already a 2 supply depot wall. If there's a 2 supply depot wall, basically always it's going to be some kind of 1 base pressure with delayed expand. And so Stats obviously is going to be knowing that. Probably will be looking to try and absorb like a sponge whatever blows Cure can throw his way. Meanwhile, Cure just going for kind of more of a slow textbook delayed expansion build with a faster command center, and instead of going just for a Widowmine drop, nothing too crazy.
So he's going to be driving the Reaper out here.
Might get the kill.
Yeah. I actually thought he could have gotten that. I think the Reaper would have had to curb up or kind of tilt a little bit up there. Maybe he could have actually gotten the kill there.
I was thinking the same thing. I thought for sure that was going to go down.
So it's going to be a really quick Widowmine drop. One of the harder things I'd say to stop early on. This is one of these things where, like, if you don't have your screen in the right spot and are just like ready to react immediately, you will lose a lot of workers. Yeah, and I mean, one Widowmine hit, if that gets like 5 probes, it's so bad.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why this unit got nerfed quite heavily in the previous patches.
Oh, yeah.
How quickly it would just end some games.
Well, it's
PBT.
like you have to just get to a really high level to stop this, or you'll just be knocked out over and over again.
Yeah, I kind of like the quality of life changes they make with the Widow Mine now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
before it fires, it actually sends the attack sound.
Right.
You get the alert, and so quite hard for Terran players to now get the game-ending damage straight away that they normally would here
Yeah.
with the Widow Mine. But still some potential to get something done. Stats does seem keen on intercepting this, though. He hasn't just yet spotted the medevac, but with 2 Stalkers, a little bit out of position. We're looking to intercept the medevac. Instead, it's going to come here into the main base.
Okay, he reacts basically perfectly. And he will pick up each of these Widow... I'm sorry, he's actually going to leave these 2 here. This is about as good as you could possibly play.
Yeah, nice
that was
control.
really well done. He got 4 probes and has not lost anything yet.
Yeah, just sustained a little bit of damage.
Now, I think that 4 is an acceptable number to lose. The Protoss is still building up and basically waiting for their turn to be active and engage on the map. That's not so much stats like in his playstyle as it is this is just what the matchup looks like when you have these 2 build orders interacting.
Yeah, this is just going to be something that Stats has in the back of his mind for the rest of the game until that Widow Mine drop leaves the corner of the map. It's always going to be waiting in the wings. And Kira, looks like behind this, he's going to be setting up for potentially a Marine tank push. I'm not sure how heavily he's going to commit to this. Because oftentimes Terran players, will go into siege tanks just defensively here, but something about the way that Kira is playing this makes me think that he will be eventually moving out and trying to take down that 3rd base here from Stats.
Right.
No 3rd command center just yet. 3rd seems to take about to pop. These Stalkers are working their way into the main base. Gonna try and get this add-on here. They should be able to get the reactor. That's a nice pickoff. That's basically the same as killing a medevac or a Viking this early on, which is nice in terms of value here for Protoss.
It's a great catch. I don't think that Kira's going to take any more damage at all here with this. This is just like almost more of a bit of a control play here from Protoss. They come out. Terran will have to fight a little bit more in order to get set up at a 3rd base. There's a lot of gateways warping in.
Yeah, 5
I'm sorry.
gates.
I thought there was a 3rd CC here. Is there not one in the Terran's base at all?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so this will just come down to a 2-base push and how well the Protoss can wrestle with that on the map.
Yeah, and I believe that's also why Kira has just chosen not to trade out the Widow Mines, because he's not looking to outscale Protoss here. He wants to go in with one big move and kill Protoss in one fell swoop. So a timing push, gunning for either a natural expansion or more likely the 3rd base paired with this Raven and the Widow Mine drop that just completely taxes the multitasking of the Protoss should be a really good way to approach this here as Kira. But Stat seems like he's quite well positioned to kind of absorb any real blows. He is going to go for a recall here.
Yeah, this shield battery is becoming very handy right now, so that doesn't really get anything done. Stim's about to finish, and Terran's going to be moving out. Now, the Observer sees it.
Yeah.
Terran is moving through the top of the map. I think that Stats can hold this, or at least he should be able to. He's got all of his gateways up. He's upgrading thermal ants.
I'm trying to remember exactly who it was that was kind of playing this style of PBT that we casted earlier in GSL. I think it might have even been Nightmare, who stopped at 6 to 8 Stalkers and then went super heavy into the charge zealots on a relatively low number of gases, because we have a lot of charge lots already out here, Tasteless. This army that Stats has built is very good at fighting. And oh, look at him actually coming in right now. As soon as the Widow Mines burrow, might be a little bit of an overextension there for Stats. The zealots truly don't get that much done. Was able to force out the auto turrets there, so there is a little bit of a win, but oh, careful, careful,
that was,
careful. Holy, oh man.
That could have gone a lot worse. I'm glad he stopped himself when he did.
Yeah, but this is an interesting angle that Kira is coming from. I wasn't really anticipating him trying to hit the gases of the natural extension.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a straight-up push, but instead he's just going to take advantage of this ledge over here. Now, the thermal lance is almost done. Or actually, it is done, excuse me. Yeah, I guess he can also hit the Robo from here. How funny is this?
Yeah, but the Colossi with a shield battery and thermal lance should just be able to deal with this. I mean,
yeah, this should all die over time.
Yeah, the medevacs eventually will run out of mana.
Keep in mind, like, Terran's on 2 bases. There's no 3rd base yet.
I think it just now is starting to fly over to the 3rd.
He might be floating it there, but Protoss is taking a 4th.
More Stalkers getting warped in here for Stats. Stalkers still on Widowmine keeping duty there in the main base, and I believe Stats has enough of a gateway army that he can just kind of come in and deal with this. Now, those Widowmines burrowing should be able to focus fire down some of these Stalkers. In fact, only one of them gets the shot off, so not quite the connections Kira was looking for there as this drop gets cleaned up relatively easily.
Yeah, so Terran has to ditch this position over here, go back to a fresh third base, and just continue to power up.
Yeah, but Kira just really didn't get what he wanted to
No.
done with that push, I think. He was hoping that some combination of the Raven dropping auto turrets, the Widowmine drop in the main base, and then this drop at the fourth and a push maybe at the natural expansion. He wanted one of those engagements to translate into a win that he could retreat off of and then regroup and go for a follow-up attack, and nothing really won it for him. Kira instead just kind of took a couple of engagements that didn't really go his way. The drop all the way down to the 6 o'clock position was parried relatively easily there by Stats. The push into the natural expansion of Stacks, it got an assimilator and not much else.
Yeah.
And Stats has been able to power up relatively well. He has his second Robo coming in, the second Forge is online, +2 ground weapons and +1 armor, both underway. And this is the stage in the game where Stats gets really scary to play against. If he can navigate his way through the mid game safely in basically any matchup and find his way into the late game, he is one of the hardest Protoss players in the world to kill.
Yeah, and this is what that game is, slowly becoming here. He's now going to push out. And look, I don't see any medevacs on the map ready for any kind of counter drop play. So I think this is going to come down to whether or not Kira can actually defend this attack. We've got a pylon being made, and probably soon a gateway to be made over there in the middle of the map. But I mean, he's just basically opening this position up so he can easily traffic units from the bottom right into the top left, and eventually warp them there in the center of the map and hit that. Well, that's funny. He never retook the gas.
Yeah, retook it at the third base instead, just playing a 4-gas style, almost max pass-esque.
So a couple more gateways are going to finish, and it should be time to hit.
Yeah, and I love this 4-gas style from Protoss players in general. Just so much power in the army that you build. So many charge zealots, and with charge zealots is such a mineral dump. You're allowed to just spend the excess gas on taking up to a second Robo.
Right.
Into 2 Forge, into +3 ground weapons, +2 ground armor.
But
quite
he hasn't,
efficiently. But
he hasn't hit yet, though. I'm kind of surprised.
Eventually, you do need to trade it out. And I'm getting a little bit concerned here for Stats because he hasn't... Oh, does he know? Has he caught Kira actually moving? I feel like he's not yet aware. There is a spotter pylon all the way down close to the 6 o'clock position, so he should get an idea.
Yeah, seeing the Vikings move, that would tell him that the army's going to be down here. Now, this is going to be kind of an awkward angle. The Terran's coming up underneath the Protoss.
Stats, it seems like his game plan is to try and absorb.
Oh my God, it's almost like they're Zerglings or something. He's just going to send these zealots out and hit whatever he can. Beautifully done with the disruptors.
Yeah, gets a couple of Marauders right there. SCV's going down to these charged zealots, and Stats with his mineral bank and the healthy gateway count should just be able to remax on these zealots relatively easy in the middle of the map. Did he even recall some of those zealots at the main base ramp? So cool.
Might as well. I mean,
6 more gateways, by the way, in production, Tasteless.
So many more bases here for Stats. A push is going to come out here. He's going to have these disruptors.
Armor shredding missile pops, but I feel like with the disruptors, Terran really cannot close the distance to capitalize. There's at least one more shot, I think, here for Protoss, so Kira just has to bide his time. And the really scary part of this upcoming engagement here for Kira is how quickly Stats is going to remax on his healthy gateway count, because he already has a 1,600 mineral bank. Engagement now coming in. Charles Dust, actually the Stalkers blink forward, immediately focused down the Raven. It was able to get the armor shredding missile up, but oh, look at that disruptor shot finally gets defused there at the last possible second, but the second shot is good there for Stats. Kira with a little bit of a win here, able to take down most of the Colossi. That disruptor will follow as well, but a lot of Zealots just warped in, Tasteless.
Yeah, he's going to have these Zealots trying to push this back. 3 disruptors are all the only thing technical that Stats has for the time being. All the Colossi have been wiped out, and they're not being remade. It's going to be 2 more disruptors pumped out for now. Terran basically wins the fight in the middle of the map, and it's going to be up to Protoss to try to defend here.
Yeah, and Terran's army is looking a little bit better, but let's not forget, there's only 4 medevacs, so they're relatively low on energy, so every stim is eventually going to start costing Kira quite a bit, especially with the Gateway Remax coming in. All these Charge Zealots moving forward, they're taking down Vikings, Ghosts, this Disruptor shot even comes in and connects. Nice split there by Stats. He's trying to get more damage done, but I think the reinforcements from Kira might be just enough, Tasteless.
Yeah, Kira's going to close in once more and bite out another big chunk of everything the Protoss has. Only, 2 disruptors in the group right now. Another pair going to meet up with this.
Kira was caught sleeping there. A lot of supply lost that disruptor shot as the Gateway Remax once again comes in, this time with +3 ground weapons. Those Stalkers quickly taking down the first medevac as Stats is getting the best trades he possibly can, and I feel like Kira slowly running out of steam. Kira was able to take a new expansion. His 5th base is up freshly at that 12 o'clock position, transforming into a planetary fortress. Stats, now re-expanding all the way at the top right side. And Stats playing the style, yeah, he was able to hang on to the middle, but he was never really able to get any of the Zealot counterattacks that are a trademark part of this playstyle because that first fight went so poorly for him in the middle. He really needed to use all of his bank to stabilize in the center, and now, I mean, oh my god.
Dude.
So many gateways.
It's crazy because, you know, you can lose a lot in the fight and immediately it's going to be warped back in. But look, you know, Cure is continuing to grow. I guess the same could be said for Stats. He's now even taken a base in the very bottom left. He's taken every base that's on his side of the map. If you were to slice the map diagonally, he's got all the bases he can get. And that doesn't mean he can't try to expand over to Cure's side, but this is becoming a pretty crazy game here.
Yeah, and I feel like if Cure identifies the situation that Stats is playing this, not defensively, but he's playing this gas list and just hunkers down and defends, Cure's going to find himself in a really good spot, but he's got to be careful not to get caught out of position like that. There is a Widow Mine here to assist in defending the Planetary Fortress. Zealot's not quite able to get the surround that they need. Will the Disruptors be able to zone away all the bio and the Ghost here at the ramp? I'm not sure. There's only a couple shots left. Oh, the first shot is so good! What a connection!
I mean, the thing is, Terran just doesn't have as many bases to lose at this point in time. You know, the Protoss has got so much of an income. Just taking out one base for Stats is going to be huge. Now, he lost a lot. The trade was pretty good, but you can see just how much is warped in afterwards. By the way, 3-3 finishes here.
3-3 upgrades here for Cure, finishing up. Guardian Shield even coming in here for Stats. Is going to try another engagement. Widow Mine shots don't get the best ones off. Liberator range, I don't think it's done quite yet. I did see the Fusion Core in production. Oh man, another big shot potentially, but the great splits there from Cure, man. He is dodging these so well right now.
Seems like Cure's having a harder time actually diving onto the Disruptors, so he has to keep splitting and running.
He's got to be careful though because the Zealots and Stalkers warping in. This could be a great surround here for Stats if he finds the right engagement. That's a lot of gateway units, Tasteless. Stats actually with the army supply lead. The Stalker's just going to run over all the Liberators, now focusing down the Medivacs. With no healing, these Zealots could actually get a lot of damage done.
Yeah, he's going to come in here and just snipe down these Medivacs. He's pushed him all the way back to where that 5th base was.
I feel like this is a huge win right now for Stats. The army supplies, it might have not been the most army supply efficient trade, but the fact that there's basically no Medivacs left now for Cure, Medivacs are the reason why Bio scales well against gateway armies like this one. Without the Medivac support, eventually those stims, they start to add up. That's why Cure is replenishing the Medivacs 3 at a time. He only has 1 on the field. If Stats capitalizes on this opportunity and does not let up on the aggression, he might be able to break Cure right now.
Yeah, he's going to push in over here. The Widow Mines are going to burrow. The SCVs are also being pulled here. There's just so much splash damage with this Colossi here. Again, no Vikings can really be made for the time being because he has to remake all those Medivacs. And
wow.
I think Stats is going to be able to push all the way through. In fact, I think Cure is going to have to tap out.
There's just no healing left. The final Medivac's finally finished, but it's too late. Cure taps out, and what a well-played game there by Stats. My goodness, is he looking good.
I can't believe Stats might just get out of this group first. I don't know. I mean, look, if you looked at, the votes as well, for who people are predicting, I think Stats was literally at the bottom. I can't believe how well he's playing. Cure has got to be frustrated by that game. I mean, that was a tough one.
I felt like he just wasn't really able to get the mid-game plan off.
He came in there with a pretty technical 2-base harass. He had to drop in the main with the Widow Mines, then he tried to push where that Gas Geyser was, and another drop with 2 Medivacs somewhere else. And Stats just kind of brushed it off and continued to tack up, and by then it was like Gateway God. Just so many gates set up. The moment you wipe out 20 Zealots, they're already warping back in.
Yeah, back in the days of Wings of Liberty, it was Adele Scott that pioneered the low-gas Protoss. In the modern era, it's been Max Pack. So to see Stats adapt like that with such a powerful composition, a strong mid-game against Cure, he might be the first one to advance from this group. Let's go into game number 2.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now.
Okay, Stats in the bottom right, Cure in the top left. Let's see what kind of game Cure wants to have here. Let's see if he takes the 3rd base a little bit quicker, too. That was a very delayed 3rd CC. A lot of times when you do this 2-base stuff as Terran, where you get all, your factory starport and then all your racks is up, and it doesn't work early, it's a pretty bad late game. it's pretty hard to recover.
Support for Cure. Coming all the way from Germany. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. But uh-oh, there's support from Stats, guy from Germany. It looks like the support is balanced out. There you go. Now, yeah, when you see these two base plays, when they don't work out, usually it's late game hell for them. You know, if you haven't managed to close it out with that push.
Yeah, that wasn't Cure's strongest mid game, and a lot of it just goes.
I was kind of surprised he went for that.
It was a little bit out of the box.
I thought it would have been at least, like, you know, Medevac, Widowmine drop, maybe 3 bases, something like that.
Yeah, it was a little bit middle of the road where he went for the double gas, but he didn't mine out of both of them completely. So it wasn't this super technical play that's designed to just murder every probe possible. Instead, it was him going for slightly faster tech, and compared to a typical 2-gas play, a slightly faster command center. And then the Widowmines, he got some good trades off. Every Widowmine survived. He got 4 probes, but then those Widowmines and the Medevacs got literally nothing done. I think eventually they just died in the corner with no more value taken. I mean, that's the kind of amount. 4 probes for 3 Widowmines and a Medevac, you take that trade there as Protoss. If you're able to do it. The follow-up attack not really getting anything done there for Cure just meant that there wasn't any advantage to his delayed 3rd command center, and as a result, Stats just had a little bit more steam going into the mid game and played really the smartest possible style, I think, in that kind of position you could. He never went beyond 4 gases, or if he did, it was at the very end of that game, and just designed his composition to be the best at fighting in the mid game. And by the way, what a cute little move right here with the Reaper. Oh, no Reaper actually? Just the Marine.
No, just a Marine.
Fooled me, but if there was a Reaper tasteless, that would have been such a cute move.
That would have been much cooler, yeah.
There are some timings like that you can find, especially on a map like Site Delta where there's all these different paths where the probe can hide that you can actually, you know, scoot out that probe and really cause some problems there for Terran. But instead, Stats just getting some scouting information, getting some damage on the SCV, and now just macroing up back at home about as safely as you could possibly do it. This is very similar to game number 1 with the Twilight Council and second gateway getting added in. I wonder how much of a deviation we're going to see here from Stats in game 2. I'm very curious if he's going to play the same 4-gas style.
So, we got to basically see how many gates are going to be made over here. Is it going to be 2 or 3? Here comes the Robo, so this is kind of the bread and butter developing Protoss style. Yeah, will there be a 3rd Nexus, or does he maybe want to go for the 4-gate play? I still think the 4-gate pressure play is good, especially on maps where the Terran spawns on the left side, because that means all their add-ons point out to the right. So when you go for that kind of harass play, it's easy to get tech labs and reactors and stuff like that. But this is going to be a more generic development style here, similar to what we saw in game 1.
Yeah, 2-gate Twilight Council, Blink coming in, and then the Robo.
By the way, this game is sort of, we're kind of recreating game 1 here.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
I guess we have to see if Cure is going to expand quickly or if he's going to power up on 2 bases.
Yeah, Cure coming in with 4 Widowmines at a little bit later of a stage. He's going to try and pair them up, I think, with the Hellions. And I wonder if he's just going to try and bust down this ramp or instead go for the natural. Looks like just the natural. These might bait away the Stalkers there from that ramp. And
yeah,
Stats is not taking the bait. He knows about the Hellions, so he's just going to play this about as smart and cool as he possibly can. I love this from Stats. A lesser Protoss player probably would have been pulling those Stalkers away from the natural ramp and just causing more problems for themselves. But
yeah,
to have this level-headed approach, and just wait until you have the warp ins to actually come in.
He just
clean it up.
Like, didn't overreact.
Yeah, that's very smart. He loses 1 more probe, 5 in total. But you take this trade here as Protoss. 5 workers, you can recover from that. And now Forge coming in, double gases, the natural expansion. I'm loving this from Stats.
It's kind of funny. It's like a really, it feels so good when you get to have that perfect safe play. Like, you know what they're trying to do, and you just keep your cool and basically shut it down. There's another Medevac inbound here. The 2 Hellions are still on the map. Basically, Protoss is continuing to develop unimpeded. Another drop over here, but immediately Stats is more than happy to just sacrifice 2 probes to then continue to pump out probes, continue to defend. Here comes the Raven here. He's going to try to chuck an auto turret. I didn't see, there's no battery here, right? Yeah, I guess it'd be too early to have one. So this will actually get a little bit more damage.
Yeah, things are going a little bit better for Cure in terms of harassment early on. Wow, you even gets that 1 probe.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
So in total, is that 11 workers that have gone down here? For
I think
Stats,
so.
I think
yeah.
Around that amount. Oh, Widowmine's going to drop again. 2 Stalkers, not enough to actually defuse these before they can plant. Blink is done, so with some finesse micro. Oh, he's retargeting. Oh, he's retargeting. That is so good by Cure. Stats just wanted those Widow Mines to pop so that he could blink away and save everything. But Cure just messed up his tempo a little bit, gets all the damage he needs. Yeah, this is a much better early game for Cure than previously.
Yeah, he got way more probes, and the push is going to come out. Now, the harass is done. I think there's still a Raven in the bottom right, so maybe an auto turret will come down there. But the push is going to come out, and this is where we need to see, did all that work pay off with a push that maybe can kill Stats here?
I think this time it might be able to do it. These gateways are a little bit slow getting up. That was a lot more damage sustained by Stats in the early game, and Stats is going to try and do his best to slow down the push and chip away at it with damage with the stalkers he has in the center of the map, but it's a scary proposition stopping this army that Cure has assembled. It is a lot of bio, only one siege tank because the factory was just so committed to pumping out Hellions and Widow Mines all this time. There's in fact even 4 Widow Mines left on the map still at this point. But there is potential for Cure to get a lot of damage done, I think. Stim, very close to completion, maybe 20 seconds out. Third command center underway for Terran too, so this is not an all-in, but oh, it didn't even catch that. 2 turrets in the main base, disrupting the mining time. And now the Widow Mine is going to come in for the follow-up. Cure is playing this in terms of harassment really well, Tasteless.
Yeah, Cure going to come in again for another move. He's got the rest of his army just outside of the base. A move like this is meant to draw a couple more stalkers in there, and that should soften the position up here in the front.
Those retreating again. So Widow Mine's got so many kills over the course of this game, and I wonder if for Cure now, do you try to work your way into the main base? I'm very confused by him moving into the triangle third here. Maybe he was anticipating an early fourth, but instead, Stat's going to look for an engagement here. Might have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew, Tasteless. Those Colossi very exposed in the front.
Yeah, and one is picked off immediately, and there's enough sustain here with these medevacs that there's no way that the Protoss can try to engage with that again. Now, Terran has taken a third base, by the way, so this isn't like a 2-base all-in. But he has not managed to take any bases out yet. He's going to do a big drop up here into the main.
Oh, this could be deadly here for Stats. Those Stalkers even caught out of position. 2 of them immediately get taken out. The third one also scurrying away, but GG's called. Stats just taking a little bit too much damage. Cure with the better game plan there in the early game and better execution, able to just slowly chip away at the economy of Protoss and then strikes before Stats truly becomes online.
Yeah, I mean,
well played.
That was a very good game. Cure definitely still has it. But, you know, look, the harass early on, it just started to stack up. There was more money being spent just remaking the probes and less money, less money, you know, spent on an army here. So, there you go.
Yeah, it looks like Cure is going to be taking a short break here, going to the restroom, maybe collecting himself, getting ready for this next match, as one more map win will actually send either of these guys, Cure or Stats, to the round of 8, Tasteless.
Yeah, and this is a really tough group. I mean, I don't blame Cure at all for wanting to take his break. If you get out, okay, it's done, it's over. Let the other 3 great players duke it out for that final spot. But whoever loses, it's going to be a very tough group to get out. Dark and Rogue are going to be fighting after this.
Yeah, I would also be interested in seeing the statistics for the final match, because I feel like very often we see the player that comes out of the winner match losing, going into the final match, they usually tend to struggle a little bit because the momentum is just on the side of whoever won the previous set, who just played. So a lot of the line here, both for Cure and for Stats, because I don't think it's going to be an easy path forward. Yeah, I mean, TVZ, PVZ can be a tough matchup against either of these guys, Dark or Rogue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's 2 very scary players, and you just want to do whatever you can to move out. Interesting to see that Cure once again went for like a drop with an immediate followed-up push.
Yeah, I feel like that build plays a little bit better on Site Delta than it does on Oceanborn.
I think so. I think there's more positions that you can exploit there.
Yeah, and also I feel like Cure just doing that in game number 1 realized how poorly it went. He's like, okay, I know that it can do better than this. And this is something that we see, I think, a lot in GSL, is a player will do a build, and it will just not go to plan. It'll lose almost spectacularly sometimes, and then they'll just do it again in game number 2 because they've played it in practice. They're doing this for a reason.
Well,
they know
might,
that
like,
it's good.
Change a few things about it. You know, just give it one more shot. Because, you know, it's different from like a proxy cheese or something. Like you just need to have positions that are more difficult for the Protoss to deal with. And I think we saw that he was able to do that really nicely. even with the auto turret coming in, gunning down a couple more probes.
They got like 4 or 5 with the auto turrets. And
Yeah.
then the follow-up Widow Mines with another auto turret coming into the main base before that push at the third. Stats, you could tell, was a little bit out of his element. It seemed like he thought he hadn't sustained quite as much damage as he actually did, because he even tried to engage into that army where the triangle third would have been, and Kira just had enough to sweep him off to his feet and to ride that to a victory. And now we're all the way down to Game 3 on Alcyone. Winner of this game is going on into the round of 8 in first place out of Group C. Will it be Stats or Cure? Let's find out.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's
Okay, Stats in the top right and Cure in the bottom left. Winner is going on to that 7th spot in the round of 8. The loser has a nightmare of a rest of the group to try to get through.
Either Rogue or Dark in that final match.
Yeah.
Either way you cut it, you're playing against one of the best Zerg
Yeah,
players of all time to try and get into the round of 8.
Yeah.
This is a stack group, man. This is fun.
This is nice. It's always, I mean, I guess it's not that fun for the players when they have to play against, this many good people are eliminating each other early on, but
we were watching the...
as a fan, it's great.
We were watching the group nomination. Everybody in this group just seems so sad. It's like, really? We're doing this to ourselves?
I know I have to play these guys eventually to win, but do we have to do it this early? Can I at least get more of a run?
Double gas opening again for Kiri, by the way. I wonder if he's going to be doing the relatively low saturation that he's been doing both in Game 1 and Game 2. I think it plays a little bit better at this level. When you get to my level, which is certainly not GSL level, the double gas where you just throw everybody in the gas geysers, the way that Kira is doing right now, and you just bring out all of the cheese. You either have Cloak Banshees or Liberators and Widow Mines and Hellions and everything running amok in the early game. Very hard to stop. But at this high level, I kind of prefer the way that Kira's been playing it in Game 1 and Game 2, where you go into the double gas, you get a touch more gas income than you normally would, you tech up a little bit faster, your harassment comes a pace ahead than it would in a normal game, but behind it you still have a relatively strong economy.
Well, you have options, you know.
Yeah, this time I wonder if Kira is going to pull off. I hope we get another shot of his gas income because I'm just so curious. Terran's one of those races that always kind of feels like a mystery for me when I try to play them and try and get all the builds to line up as well as they do in the GSL.
Oh, isn't that funny when you're like having a lot of losses against a certain race and you're like, okay, well, I can do this, and you start playing it up, you're like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, wait, I should be embarrassed. By the way, oh my goodness, that's a sneaky probe.
Yeah, look at that.
Hiding in plain sight right there. I love that move there by Stats. Wouldn't mind coming in. Stargate actually the tech of choice here for Stats and Alcyone. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's in a weird spot. It's not in the main. I don't know if this Reaper's going to see it. I don't think you're really looking for anything at this point in time. You can see the Adept doesn't come down right away because he doesn't want to like push it into the Stargate either. Okay, so that was very well handled there by Stats. A Cyclone's being made.
Yeah, Kira is leaning a little bit more heavily into the gas this time.
I mean, this could wreck a Stargate build. Starport, excuse me, build.
Yeah, I wonder how this is going to go.
Or Stargate, yeah, sorry.
Well, I mean, it could go either way, really.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see these, if it is a Phoenix build, which I'm kind of assuming it will be here from Stats, we'll see in just a moment, but if it is a Phoenix build, if that Phoenix does start up, oftentimes this either goes really well for the Protoss player or really badly for the Protoss player. It's kind of rare that it's this middle ground where the games are relatively even. And by the way, did that Reaper actually jump up into the natural to spot it?
I don't know if it spotted it or not.
I was gazing into your eyes, tasteless, when that Reaper came on screen. I actually didn't get to catch it.
I think he saw it.
Okay. Yeah, so Kira should be able to play this quite smartly. Occasionally, as the Phoenix player, yeah, I look at the Widowmine positioning too. He knows. Occasionally, as the Phoenix player, if you just catch the Terran completely unprepared and they come in with some kind of dropship or just like 1 or 2 Cyclones moving out to just exert a little bit of pressure because nothing can quite catch up to them in the early game, you take down those high-tech units from the factory, from the starport, and the momentum builds so fast as a Phoenix player. It is crazy. But if Terran knows that it's coming, as it seems like Kira does, and certainly he does with this first Marine getting cleaned up here in the middle of the map, you kind of corral your forces. You keep everything very well together. Everything protects each other. It can be hard for the Phoenixes to really get a lot of damage done. So we'll see exactly how this one's going to play out. We do have 3 Phoenix on the map as well as 3 Adepts. There is a shield battery here in the natural expansion. And Kira, I think, is probably going to set his eyes on the Gateway, Cybernetics Court, and Pylon here. by the third base. And I believe that Cure with 1 or 2 more warp-ins should have enough to clean this up. It's going to be really close, Tasteless, with these reinforcements. Oh, I love the probe coming in to force the Widowmine to lift. He immediately gets it there where the Phoenix is, trades it out for 1 Phoenix.
Yeah, he has another Phoenix to refill that one. But the Cyclo damage is really starting to stack.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, the fact that the Cyberdex core is here, it's a little bit scary. Like, you know, if you lose that, you can't make Stalkers, you can't make any of your other tech. There's an Immortal coming out.
Oh, I feel like with the Immortal, this should be a pretty good engagement here for Stats. We're going to have to see. It should just focus down these Cyclones as best it possibly can. Adepts can make quick work relatively of the Marines as now the lifts are coming in. The Minerals not mined out, so there's nowhere for Cure to retreat. Phoenixes are getting taken down here by the Vikings of all things as kind of a wash in terms of engagement, but I think at the end of the day, you got to give this one to Stats. That's pretty good trade, especially with him chasing down these Starport units.
This game,
1 HP, 2 HP here on this Phoenix. Oh, look at the Marine Micro. Nice play there by Cure.
So this is how it ends.
I slightly give the edge there for Stats after that engagement.
Oh yeah,
but
no, I give it to him by a lot. I mean, he is not invested in proper units now for a game later on here. We've got 3 bases coming up, a bunch of gateways are coming down. Stats is going to complete the rest of his tech with an uninterrupted third base.
The thing is, a couple of Phoenix did get taken out there though. And Phoenix are one of these units in PvT where you want to build typically a small number of them and then just keep them alive for the remainder of the game because they're very expensive. At 150 minerals and 100 gas, they're these units that you want to get out early, exert value from, keep alive, and then spend the rest of your resources on getting Colossus out, on getting your tech out, on filling out the other parts of your tech tree.
Right.
So the fact that Stats has to rebuild those is going to slow down in terms of tempo, basically everything else that he also wants to get online. And so a minute or 2 down the road, there might be an opportunity for Cure to actually move across the map and get some real damage done. And that's what I'm concerned about here for Stats. But if he's able to navigate the mid game, he might still be able to ride the momentum because on paper, those were good trades.
Right. So here comes Cure's third base. It's a little bit late. I don't know when we're going to have another attack. Well, hold on a second. He's just going to move out. This is a very unusual composition. There's no medevac here.
It's a Beyond-esque army.
Yeah. But, you know, what can he get done with this exactly? You know, it's... Well, the Phoenixes are actually going to come across and just pick up and kill some of these SCVs, and there's just nothing to defend this because those Cyclones are so far out. So he's actually getting a lot of worker kills basically for nothing. I don't think that Colossus is going to be very safe with the 4 Vikings there.
I almost want to say this feels like a blunder from Cure a little bit. Not a massive one, but that army that he moved out with in almost a sharking fashion didn't really get too much done, and Stats recognizes that, sees the army, is like, well, I'll just pick off 5 or 6 SCVs for free then, I guess. Thank you.
I guess I'll just take, you know, what I can.
But maybe for Cure, just having the presence on the map like this and then coming in with a follow-up push with a siege tank joining forces is worth it enough here that he's able to sacrifice some of these units. The thing is, that the army here for Stats, very scary. By the way, nice micro there with those Vikings, immediately being able to dispatch one of those Phoenixes. Only 3 of them alive and only 1 Stalker. So these Colossus do not have a lot of support on the ground right now. Another round of Stalkers do get warped in, but we'll have to see how this one plays out. It's scary. By the way, Carrier's in production now for Stats.
Yeah, so he's not going to have that tech for a while. This is going to be a very hard base to hold. Keep in mind, again, no medevac, so if you start to lose the fight, the Protoss will just topple you. Oh, he's going to go for Tempest. He might want to go for Carriers later on, but I think Tempest is probably a better immediate fix for the threats that are happening. I think if he holds this push, he can go back into Carriers later on.
It sounds kind of weird to say this, but the Vikings are kind of the scariest unit in the composition right now because your main DPS here at Stats is the Colossus. You don't really have the money to replenish, or not to replenish, but to muster up a lot of Stalkers on the ground. So if he's able to get 3 or 5 Tempest out, so they can start 2-shotting or 1-shotting these Vikings here from Cure, that's going to be a really big win for Stats.
I love sending the Zealots out here. It's kind of forced the Terran to go back.
By the way, only 2 Tempest into Carriers. A little bit interested in this choice. Maybe he feels like he needs a little bit more manpower with this army, but I don't know how much value those 2 Tempests are going to get out. This is kind of a tough position to be in as Stats checking so quickly into the Fleet Beacon. It's hard to say what the right call is, but I certainly trust Stats' judgment more than mine. I'll tell you that.
So, I mean, the game kind of quiets down here. Terran is still kind of accumulating and getting ready for an inevitable push. It is going to hit. But, every pair of carriers that comes out, it's going to be a lot worse for Terran.
I'm so concerned here for Stats because the carriers are going to be a lot of the DPS. It's carriers and Colossi that are everything Stats is relying on, and the army on the ground is massive. And if these Vikings could just focus down these critical units, Stats might just get completely toppled here.
It's going to be like a huge reset here. So he's using the Tempest. He can basically hit from afar. Actually, a pretty big deal that Stargate's unpowered and probably will be killed off.
Oh, man, you almost need to overcharge right now. That shield battery finally does get charged up. I believe one of the Tempests got taken out. Yeah, only one of them remaining. 9 Vikings, by the way, on the map. A lot more than you see on screen right now. And Stats, are you actually going to go for this engagement, man? You are brave. He's lifting up the siege tank and the Cyclone. That's not bad.
He takes what he can get. But this means that the Stargate tech is going to continue on.
I guess with the Vikings not all clustered together, it's a little bit scary for Kira to try and engage there. I thought 9 Vikings on paper should be enough to try and have an engagement come through here for Terran, but instead, Kira just going to go back.
And Kira is continuing to grow and blossom on the map here. But the most important thing for Protoss is to get enough carriers. Carriers, it's a funny unit. It's bad when you have 1. Doesn't really do anything, but when you get like 6 or 8, suddenly everything dies.
Mothership is done, by the way.
Yeah.
No Storm just yet, but...
Yeah, Storm probably going to be the final piece of the puzzle here.
This is the most Stats game of all Stats games, by the
yeah,
way.
this is yeah. Stats almost being a character of Stats as far as his tech goes. So the Mothership's out.
Mothership is out. Still only 1 Tempest. Zealot's coming in before that Planetary is able to morph, so should get some damage done. And Kira, I think he's going to go for this engagement, Tasteless.
Yeah, I think you're right.
All right, Guardian Shield pops right now. No overcharge of the shield battery just yet. Cloaking come in. Scan immediately drops this. Time Warp actually getting a lot of value, but the Vikings are making quick work of this Sky Fleet. Oh, the Mothership actually doing a great job of tanking, though, Tasteless. Look at how low HP it is. That battery overcharge was able to replenish those shields so quickly.
Another wave of Zealots is going to come
Storm
in over
almost done. It just completed. No EMP yet on these Storms.
Oh.
Goes very high on energy still. A lot of the SCVs did get taken out here at that 4th base. You're only at 67 workers. He is going to be able to maneuver his way all the way up to the 12 o'clock position. This Nexus should get taken out with Stats out of position, but the fleet is coming in. 2 more carriers in production, plus 2 air weapons in production. I think 5 carriers now on the map, still with that 1 Tempest and a lot of Storm. And now Kira's kind of running into this problem where he's just been so committed to the Viking production that he doesn't really have a lot of medevacs. He's building them rapidly to try to replenish. His bio ball is so low on HP. I mean, so much of PvT comes down to the starport units for Terran, especially the medevacs paired up with the bio. A lot of people take for granted, I think, how much the medevacs add to the mix. This army that you see on screen right now with no healing doesn't stand a chance
Well, it's like
against
every
Protoss.
time you stim, and if you don't just win the encounter entirely, you've taken damage. It's permanent.
Yeah, and Stats is so good at just having these sustained fights. And
okay, here we go, here we go.
He's ready to bring the fight.
He blinks forward, decides to regroup. I think there's 2 more carriers inbound here.
Yeah, 7 carriers in total now on the map. Warp Prism setting up.
Yeah. And so it's all going to come down to how he can engage over here.
Keep in mind that Stats being very careful with this Templar control. EMP comes in, able to connect with one of the Templar. The one in the front only has 70 energy, so can't actually come through. Time Warp coming down on all of the Vikings. Look how slow they are. They're in the air. The Colossus making blitzkrieg. Oh my god, the Storm on the Vikings. So much damage done. But Kira might have just enough on the ground to deal with this. Will the Vikings be able to clean up the carriers in the sky?
You know, I think just barely Protoss wins this fight. The Stalkers on the ground are going to come in.
There's basically no Interceptors left, though, Tasteless. Only 1 Interceptor among these 3 carriers.
You're right. The Interceptors have all been wiped out.
It's going to come down to the gateway units, but these the Marines and Marauders have basically no healing whatsoever. 3-3's done right now for Terran, but the Stalkers and the Zealots reinforcing, even though it's just a small group of them, are getting so much done. And eventually, these carriers, they will be able to replenish the Interceptors. Vikings getting forced down. 1 carrier left here, but Stats might just be able to win this with the ground army.
You know, the emphasis was so much about air versus air, but as the dust settles, it seems like the Protoss's ground army can now just tear through this position.
Yeah, Stats just really capitalizing on the low medevac count here for Cure.
I can't believe Stats is going to take this. He just has to push in here. If he can get into that natural.
I think there's a world, though, that Cure is able to hold this. He already has at least one Ghost here on the field with high energy, a lot more in production. And a lot of the army value here for Stats, it's not in Storm, it's in Archons, which if they get EMP'd, a lot of the HP in this army is immediately going to get taken out, and even more Archons are morphing in.
Yeah, well, it looks like he wants to just try to plow through this position over here.
That's a pretty good EMP.
He's actually baiting out the EMPs on this.
He is, but at the same time, I mean, that hit basically every single Stalker Tasteless. That's a lot of damage. Should Cure be able to take the engagement before those shields regenerate? Oh man, so much of this game is going to hinge on this next fight.
I can't believe he's not sending a Zealot or two to these other bases, or even like a Stalker to put behind the minerals.
I think he's assuming it's a planetary, so it isn't even considering it an option right now with his army. Instead, just going to go for the throat right now in the natural expansion. CC lives to get the best possible arc here for Cure as the Zealots are streaming in on the right side. Cure working his way all the way to the quarter, trying to use his engineering bay to block. And the Archons are getting cleaned up. Look at the army supplies right now, Tasteless. Cure is standing strong on the ground.
Yeah, another big warp in over here in the front. The warp prism is shot down, and so the warp in is canceled.
Oh man, I think Cure might have just enough to hold on. The ground army for Stats just isn't enough. Cure was able to replenish the HP with the medevacs, and the EMPs were so clutch there for Terran. I think Stats might have gotten a little bit overconfident with that push.
Yeah, I think he tried to end the game in a very bad way, and now Cure is broken free from this position. His expansions haven't been destroyed, by the way. So he's still milking them for everything they're worth. And now the counterattack from Cure is looking so scary. GG!
Wow.
Cure takes it.
Cure advancing in first place out of Group C, just barely surviving the onslaught of Stats, who was just a little bit overconfident there. And man, what a well-deserved win from Cure. That was a tough-fought battle for Terran, I must say.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game. I think there was a way for Stats to close that out. It's interesting to see, like in the last maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes, he decided to go for a kill move instead of like maybe like a win more move, like just close out the bases, kind of cut out every other opportunity.
I feel
and go from there. Instead, he just tried to end it, and sometimes stuff like that backfires. We're going to go to an interview now with Cure and see how he's feeling. He's moved on to the round of 8.
All right. Well, Cure, congratulations on advancing in first place at the quarterfinals. How are you feeling? Well, you know, Rogue, I feel like he's playing very well after his military service, and I was actually worried about him coming into this as my first opponent. So I brought out some secret builds that I was, in fact, planning on using later on in the tournament. I think you might be talking about the 3 bunker rush in game number 2 on site Delta. And luckily, through those builds, Cure was able to beat Rogue for the first match. Well, against Rogue, you did go for that 3 bunker play on site Delta. And in both of your series today, you lost the first map and then fought back to win. What was going through your head after the first map of each series? Well, after the loss in both games, I just try to really focus, calm myself down, and try to micro well in the fights, because that was my path to victory. So in all those games where I was able to finally crush some armies, that's when I got my confidence back, and I felt like it was my key to victory. Well, since you made it out of the group first, you're the same group as Maru. Your group will contain Maru, Su, and Byeon. Maru always seems to stop your way here in the GSL. Well, you know, last season, Maru defeated me once again, but I feel like it wasn't my best performance. I feel like I wasn't able to play to the best of my ability, and so I think that this might be my chance to beat Maru on the big stage.
지은 병력의 부속 건물을 달지 않고 해병전차 쥐어 짜내면서 어떻게든 그 타이밍을 잡으려고 노력한 게 보였고 이겼잖아요. 이게 이병렬에 대한 압박인 건가요? 아니면 그냥 저그전의 이 플레이를 보통은 못 막더라라는 판단이 있었던 건가요?
The Korean casters are now asking about the specific Terran strategies that Cure was going in against Zerg. I believe they're talking about the 2 barrack style in those games against Rogue, because Rome seemed a little bit shaky against them in the early game. Sorry, I didn't catch quite what your response was to that one. Well, Kier, any words do you have for your fans now that you've advanced to the round of 8? Well, you know, whenever I have matches in big tournaments like the GSL, I always try my best to make it all the way to the finals. So this time I was make it to advance to the round of 16 to the round of 8, and I hope to show even better performance as the tournament continues on.
Cool. All right, congratulations to Kier. Guys, ZVZ coming up next. One of these 2 players is about to be eliminated. We'll be right back.
Celebration, go and gather round, cause I'm ready for dinner. I'm about to have a feast, no second place, I'll be the winner. Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready. I go to spot, make them white, let them know they on the clock. Eeny, miny, mo, once I see them, I'ma point them out, send them up. It's gonna be a minute before they see the ground. Heat them up, talking about the maker, you gon' meet them now. Whoa, they know we near. It's getting hot up in here. You know it getting heated at the top. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, yeah, I'm hot. Turn me up a notch. 600 degrees, got me burning up the spot. Fresh about the pot, get it till I got. Make a feel flame, I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't stop. South Beach, make them feel the heat. I can tell you fake before you even speak. I'm just heating up, you hit your peak. We not neck and neck, even in my sleep. He said start a ride, I'ma start a fire. Sweet scent of the smoke make me come alive. If you see them by my side, then they bonafide. And you can feel the heat, we don't notify. When we come, pick a side, tell them that you down to ride. It's a fire, everything is lit, lighten up the sky. In the air, long way to the ground. Better hope you fly, like the time. Only get it once before it pass you by. Oh, they know we near. It's getting hot up in here. You know it getting heated at the top. I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, yeah, I'm hot. Turn me up a notch. 600 degrees, got me burning up the spot. Fresh about the pot, get it till I got. Make a feel flame, I'm on fire, I can't stop. I'm on fire, I can't stop.
Fading lights coming down. Say we give it a good run. Feel the night, all the sounds. Dance with me until we see the sun. Dance with me until we see the sun. Feel the night, all the sounds. Dance with me until we see the sun. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to eliminate one of these Zerg players. This is Rogue versus Dark. I cannot believe I am saying that one of these guys is going to be knocked out this early on in the tournament. Of course, Dark, you know, the last couple years has looked to be one of the greatest Zergs of all time. Rogue was the greatest Zerg of all time before his military service. He has just now finished that up. Now he's back here in GSL. Looking pretty good, by the way.
Yeah, looking really good. Just qualifying for the GSL in and of its own in this smaller format with just 16 players in Korea is an accomplishment.
He's even got like the post-military haircut where it's like he can finally start. Yeah, had short hair in the military and he can finally start to grow it out again.
I think of the actual shots that they did before the season started, it was like even more of an obviously post-military haircut. Yeah, very endearing. But you can see how fresh he is out of military service coming back to the world of StarCraft 2. And already looking to be in really good shape. I mean, that game one that he played against Cure was phenomenal. Unfortunately, it seems like he hasn't quite ironed out the finer parts of ZVT just yet.
Yeah.
But luckily for him, Terran is out of this group. He needs to get through Dark, and he needs to get through stats if he wants to advance to the round of 8. And I think it might be possible given the way he looked in his first match against Cure.
This is going to be a fun one. I could be cheesy, by the way.
Oh,
CVC
yes.
can be very cheesy. You know, you don't have to go for kind of the macro style, and the cheeser can decide that.
And I almost feel like in this situation where it's Dark versus Rogue, Dark already one of these cheeky players that likes to bust out the cheese.
Yeah.
And a Rogue fresh out of military service. It seems like a recipe for some pretty short games.
It could be. It could be. I would be very open to a long, drawn-out ZVZ, kind of a macro style, but I feel like there's a little bit of cheese in the air. A little bit ches.
A little bit of smell, a little blue cheese tasteless here. Well, let's see if that comes out.
We'll see if it's blue cheese. It depends on what color each player is. We'll find that out in a second. Stay. Guys, this is the elimination match. Let's go.
All right. Rogue in the top right is the blue Zerg. Dark in the bottom left as the red Zerg here in the CBZ on post-youth of all maps. And I wonder what Rogue is feeling coming back from military service and playing his first CBZ offline on post-youth with the half-gold base of the main. Must be kind of funky. This is one of the newer and more unique maps that we've ever had in StarCraft 2's history.
Another great drawing.
Nothing but art here at GSL, man. A lot of talent. If you're scared of coming down to the studio.
It's like Rogue kissing the trophy, and then it's like an angry Dark holding a rock, ready to smash him over the head and take it.
Want to see
an Ultralisk?
It's an elephant. That's not an Ultralisk. What are you doing, man?
Ultralisk could be elephants.
We have good artists and bad artists here.
They're elephant inspired.
Oh no!
Well, we could actually have it. We could have it, man. We just have to see. By the way, no one's cheesy so far.
Yeah, in 5 or 10 years when RTS developers run out of ideas and we have the StarCraft 2 Age of Empire crossover episode, you're gonna have villagers hunting Ultralisk look like elephants trying to get their meat in the early game.
Primitive humans and primitive Zergs.
That would be fun, actually. I wouldn't mind
Zerg
that,
even had
man.
creep.
That could be a lot of fun.
So they're both going to take that base inside of their base. I actually kind of forgot this was map 1 when we started because
that's a funky one.
Yeah, I was kind of ready for there to be a more standard map, or I don't know, like some Excite Delta or something to have these guys duke it out on.
Yeah, I don't really know how this is going to look in a ZVZ.
I feel like it's going to be very roachy if you have a gold base.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's also going to come down to whether you can take the follow-up gold base center
of
the map.
Funny maps where you get a gold base early on, it's kind of weird when it's a mirror matchup. Like in non-mirror matchups, I think it's subtly the games, the gold bases can define the game very quickly. But here it's like, well, I guess you're both going to have more minerals. And in my mind, that goes to Roaches, but maybe it's like you just use those minerals and take another base somewhere else. I don't know.
I think you're right. This is, if I were to take a guess in this best of 3 series here on Post Youth, probably going to be the longest of the bunch, I would imagine. Just because of the architecture of the main base and how many minerals you're going to have here in the early game. Of course, only 6 patches, so eventually these guys will need to expand to his third base relatively quickly. In fact, Dark already throwing his down now. Meanwhile, Rogue and his main base going up into a lair. Same timing here as Dark, but also a very fast second gas. I like this, by the way. 2 queens here just being able to hunker down and hold the main base ramp. But it will be the 2-hatch Rogue against the 3-hatch Dark in a moment. So the way this is lining up, Rogue eventually should be the one that has to get something done. Let's start with an evolution chamber here at the natural ramp. The main base ramp, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And both players going up to 4 gas at almost exactly the same timing. I guess it does make sense because you will be fully saturated on minerals at this stage in the game with only 6 patches of the natural, but it is funny to see Rogue just on 2-hatch and Dark going up to 3. And a Spire here for Dark. Spire on both sides. I kind of feel like this has to favor Dark, right?
Well, right now, Rogue is cranking out a lot of lings. He has not stopped. We're up to 18, 20. Now, well, how is this going to work?
He's not even going up to full mineral saturation.
So
in fact,
he just wants to basically, like, start to really hit him hard with this rush and then hit him with mutas right after that. That's all I gather from what I'm seeing.
I think that is all the game plan is, Taylor.
Yeah,
So I think you hit the nail on the head. As the ling speed now done and all these lings out on the map means that 26 lings can be flooding in. And actually, Dark taking this third base might backfire. He's going to have to wall in his main base because Rogue has cut drones very heavily here to start things out. And I don't even think this third base hatchery is going to be worth it when all is said and done. That's a lot of minerals and a drone down the drain. 3 evolution chambers going to have to be built here at the ramps to actually wall Dark in. I think you don't even cancel them. I think you let them build, and then eventually, if you want to re-expand, you just mine the minerals out on the other side. Here is Dark.
But
and
I mean,
looking
how,
at the
how
gas,
good is this for Rogue? I feel like, okay, you stop the hatchery, but you also don't have a hatchery of your own. You're both going mutas. Air weapons is coming here for Rogue.
I still feel like this is maybe just a little bit better for Rogue, but it's very even despite that third base going down.
Yeah, well, there's more drones right now for Dark, too.
This is so hard to call.
I've never quite casted a ZVZ like this. I'm sort of not sure what to make of it. He will see the Spire.
That's mirrored builds.
Yeah.
You will also see the drone count here at the natural expansion is just those six drones doubled up on the gold patches. So if this plays 2-hatch versus 2-hatch for an extended period of time, if Dark isn't actually able to stabilize and hold on to this third base, this could favor Rogue in the long game just because he got more damage done in terms of actually killing stuff. And he's going to mine out slower than natural expansion too. But I wonder if that is the way it's going to go. It's hard to tell. With the defender's advantage in mutos, I feel like Dark should eventually be able to stabilize and take this third base, right? I don't think Rogue can actually deny it.
Rogue might have a timing with his +1 attack when that finishes, but other than that, I'm not really sure. Oh, Dark has +1. We saw it for a second. I think it's a little bit behind.
It is a touch behind.
Yeah. It's kind of a funny game.
Yeah, I don't think Rogue is even going to try and take a third anytime soon. I think he's just going to sit on this almost.
I think he wants to try to end the game coming up here. I think he basically wants to hit with the Muta air upgrade, have the Lings kind of be overwhelmingly strong. He should be able to win both the air and the ground fight.
Yeah, he should on paper, but with the reinforcements coming in a little bit faster here for Dark, I wonder if that is going to be the way it plays out. We only have 3 queens on both sides, by the way, so transfuse is not going to be too many of them, as 2 of those queens have to just constantly be charging the hatcheries up with injects. The other one going to be spreading a little bit of creep, so maybe 1 or 2 transfuses at most, I would think, here for Dark on the defense. And here comes Rogue. He's ready to attack. He has double the Lings, by the way, 58 to 26. Some quick mats for you. Is actually the Mutas coming in. Nice connections here to start things out. And I love the focus fire on the Mutas here from Rogue. Some really nice engagements. And even the Lings getting on top of the Queens at the ramp. This might just be the better engagement here for Rogue. Look at the army supply, Tasteless.
I mean, it's kind of insane. The Mutas are continuing to take this fight. The Lings are now going to spill over on top of the Queens.
The micro here for Dark has been so good at the top of the ramp, though. Those Mutas just pairing up. The Lings are going to be able to flood in, but the Muta Micro was better here for Dark. How many drones are going to go down? That's just it. Rogue tapping out.
Just an odd game.
Yeah, a very peculiar match. I thought that at the beginning, Rogue just had a better engagement. The Micros seemed a little bit better in terms of focus firing down.
Yeah.
The Mutas to start things out, but when all is said and done and the dust settles.
It's just a very weird game. I don't think I've ever quite casted a game like that.
That was bizarre, and I'm also surprised that Rogue focused so much on just going into the main base there. I would have thought that he would instead pivot to the third base and just denying that hatchery, because I feel like in a 2-base versus 2-base situation, Rogue probably wins, but that was such a peculiar and high-level ZVZ that I really don't know how to break it down, if that makes sense. I mean, it was just a really odd game that I feel like you could only really see on post-youth of all maps.
Yeah, it's like we saw that game, and we're probably not going to have that map again, and that's it.
Yeah.
It was weird, and I guess we're not going to be exploring it further.
I like the idea of Rogue there, a little bit out of the box. Just 6 drones to the natural, only on the gold base, is going for 2-hatch Muta play.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to go to Golden Aura here for map number 2. Let's get this going. Rogue vs. Dark, continuing on.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now.
Right, Rogue, the blue Zerg down in the bottom right, Dark, the red Zerg in the top left. And just to go back to that previous game, I wish we could, just for the sake of my curiosity, I wish we could like go back and resume from replay before that final engagement and have Rogue just focus on the third base and just shut that down with a superior lane count and play the game from there, because I don't think he had to commit quite so hard into trying to break down the main.
Should be proud of themselves. This is a very good and very supportive message here.
Yeah,
This
this audience in general
we
has
should
been
actually
really
give
cool.
all the players trophies. This is what we should do.
Taser just walks down in the main stage like Obi Winfrey.
Yeah.
There's a trophy hidden
I
under
also
everybody's
get a trophy.
seat.
I get to win a GSL like
Yeah.
everybody else.
Everybody also watching online, guys, you just give us your addresses. We promise
we'll
we
make
won't.
you a trophy.
We
Everybody's
promise
a
we
winner.
won't leak it
You
online.
can have one more Codesses than Maru if you want.
But this audience has been so supportive in general. I
This
feel
is
like
a
this
great
is
audience tonight.
I feel like this is the first audience that I've seen in a while where after it feels like almost every single match, like you guys don't get to see it because we go to break, but all the audience members clap for the players.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
actually quite
It's kind of nice.
It's quite nice, yeah. It's beautiful, especially with Rogue coming back from military service, man.
Yeah.
I want the audience to kind of light a fire under him, you know? It's so cool to have him back. Just good vibes here, tastes the GSL.
Yeah, it feels good, man. It feels nice. Some great games tonight as well.
I feel like every series is delivered in at least some regard too.
Yeah, I'm curious about this next game because like I can't really make heads or tail, excuse me, of Rogue's play back there.
Yeah, post-youth is probably the worst possible map to determine
I'm
where
sort of
Rogue is
like,
at
that
in
was-
CBC.
I do feel like looking back at the game, it might have been better if he just sent all of his lings and tried to go up into the main instead of killing the third.
But I don't think you can really. Yeah, I don't
But
know.
There's Evo chambers there, so like I don't know.
It's hard.
It
It's
just
very
seemed
hard
odd in
to
a mirror
say.
matchup to go for that.
I mean, it's the kind of situation where us two as casters who probably aren't playing much
We don't play Zerg,
or
yeah.
watching people play on post-youth even in a tournament setting, because it just gets vetoed in like basically every series.
Yeah, well, this is a funny thing because you know when you cast a tournament, there's a lot of maps you just get really used to seeing, and you start to know like the back of your hand. And then there's like those maps that everybody vetoes, and when you're on there, you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute, it's gonna be my first time casting this matchup on this map.
Even Golden Aura is one of these maps that in the previous patch I felt like we saw quite often, and so although we're not seeing it quite as much here in Season 2 of GSL or in the later part of Season 1 of GSL, previously, we all just kind of have a really good read on where this map is. Plus, it's a map that you see a lot in international tournaments, you see a lot in ladder. Like, it's one of the most played maps to this date in the last couple of months, but something like Post-Youth is just so out of the box. So I do wonder how this game's going to go. As it is right now, almost completely mirrored in terms of unit setups there. Bailing Nest also, very similar timings. Metabolic Boost, Zergling Speed going to finish at almost the exact same moment here, as both players are just kind of doing the same thing. And Macro ZVZ building up at 3 bases. Nothing too crazy to start things out. We're going to be throwing the Roach Warren down here at the natural expansion, going for a nice queen-size wall. at his ramp, and looking at the mini-map, it seems like Dark is doing the same thing on his side of the map. Nice pick-off there with a couple of links, getting that creep tumor. Usually, Queen energy, very precious at the early game in ZBZ, especially in a situation like this where Rogue is only playing with 2 queens. His 3rd queen is only just now coming out. So 25 energy might not seem like a lot, but trust me, to these guys in the box, it does feel like a lot on stage.
So it's going to be 3 bases on both sides. We don't see a big plume of Lings coming up yet. Because, you know, you're always going to get the Roach War, and you're always going to have, like, a Baneling's Nest, but that doesn't mean it is for an attack. You can have that just so that you have the tools to defend your base. We now have Roaches being made here for Rogue. I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen here with Dark.
I feel like we're just not going to see that plume of Lings until it comes to reinforce a huge flood of Roaches across
after the
map.
Roaches have been made.
Yeah, they're just the unit that you reinforce with the Zord because they train so quickly and they move so quickly across the map that usually they converge with the attacking army.
You basically make them to tank, and then the Roaches stay in the back and keep doing damage.
Well, Evolution Chamber not getting thrown down for Dark as well as a lair. Rogue still setting on Hatch Tech, 41 drones, pumping Roaches. I wonder if he is going to just hunker down. I've been saying hunker down too much today. I wonder if he's just going to commit to this early push because there isn't really a lot of tech coming his way so far and only 40 drones. Another gas coming in here for Rogue. Keep in mind, still no lair, still no upgrades. Dark is starting +1 range weapons. And Ling's now in production here for Rogue. He might just start pushing it. I think this is going to be a timing attack from Rogue.
It's going to be go time here for Rogue. So the question is now, you know, can Dark actually hold this? There
5 more drones in production for Dark, by the way.
There are overlords everywhere to see this. As far as I can tell, there's no angle to come at where you're going to surprise him with the attack. Even the Queens driving the overlords out could be enough to, you know, oh, excuse me, that's actually Dark driving Rogue's overlords. I switched the races for a second. But, you know, even attacking that could be something that would tell you that, you know, there's an attack coming. So here he comes. He's moving out now.
It's time to go.
And Dark should see this.
Yeah, Dark knows. Spiraling Crawler's getting thrown down, but did Dark play this a little bit too greedy? He was going for double gas, already on 55 drones. Lair Tech coming in, +1 range weapon, should not finish in time for it to really matter.
A lot of Banes here, but he could plug up the entrance entirely with Roaches, which would make the Banelings a lot less effective. The Spines are going to finish here, but it seems like the soft spot's actually up where the Roach Warren and the Banelings Nest are.
Yeah, I think that's what you hit here as Rogue. You try and take down that production as now the engagement comes through. Banelings and try and find the connections. Not really getting the best things to start off here for Rogue as he's going to slowly inch forward. Actually, the Ling's not really able to connect in the front line as Rogue finally gives way for them. That Baneling connection going to be pretty good there in the front, getting a lot of splash damage on these Roaches. Standing army supply is better for Rogue right now, but the Spine Crawlers might just be enough tasteless.
I mean, I think he just holds. I think that Dark just knows exactly, you know, how much to make, even with Rogue going around and hitting it at a different angle. I mean, this is it, GG. Dark with an easy peasy 2-0. We were right, State. Short and sweet.
Yeah, and those are some nice games played there by Dark. Just seems to know exactly what he has to do to defend. For Rogue, probably a little bit bittersweet qualifying now for GSL Code S and then getting taken out 2-1 versus Cure and 2-0 versus Dark. But I mean, considering this guy just came back from the military service, I'm feeling pretty good about seeing him back in this one. You can even see Dark coming in and then talking about the matches.
Man, yeah. You know, it's fun to have Rogue back, and I want to see, you know, in the next couple of years of StarCraft 2 how he's going to fare. It's kind of nice when you're a pro and you finally have that military service out of the way, right?
Yeah, and this is just the beginning for Rogue coming back in. I mean, hasn't had a lot of time to train back for GSL, but believe me, we're going to be seeing more from Rogue in the future. Guys, final match coming up after this break. Stats versus Dark, one of these gamers heading to the round of 8 alongside Cure. We'll see you soon.
Look at all these faces, I guess we just contagious. Tell my mom we made it. Look at all these places. Look at all... Right now. Tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now. Right now. Right now. God, I'm low. God, my soul. All of my thoughts be dark like coal. Face down in the water, I float. I try to speak my mind, but I choke. I'm on the tightrope. Tired, I can't cope. No lying, no hope. The lying might show. Up to the party, y'all don't want smoke. Energize the body, raise up the army. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now, reach for the stars, I want it all. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now, reach for the stars, I want it all. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now, reach for the stars, I want it all. Right now, just into the car, fighting no war. Right now, we shitting on y'all, I'm in the store. Right, put your feet on the ground, look around. It's a siege and we back in your town, burning it down. You've been waiting too long for the sound. Time is now, got you hanging on every single word, verb and now. Give you what you been waiting for now, what you praying for. This the type of we slaving for. Get you another hit, I know you craving more. I'm in this, but they go Super Saiyan boy. I am a higher being, whole world at my command. I got the whole damn planet here in the palm of my hand. Watch out, back out, wait up, might wake up, stay up. They gon' get in, they gon' take us. Raise up, we got color, they try and gray us. You are now listening to the greatest. Right now, tell me who you are, get in the car. Right now. Come on, gather round. Can you hear the sound? We the tidal wave coming from the underground. We the earthquake about to shake the whole town. Let's get it started now. We coming for the crown. Never slowing down, we gon' speed it up. We the underdog, we gon' tear it up. Coming for your heads, better all duck. Hit the black top like a Mack truck. I've been on this road, this my home. Full throttle, bad to the bone. Hold up now, I don't gotta say it loud. You know who gon' run this town. Look at how we bring them out. We about to shut it down. Yeah, we here now. Come on, bring them out. Start a riot, start a mind spin, get it loud. We ain't leaving cause we came here to run it town. Run it down. Who gon' shut it down? We gon' shut it down. Who gon' bring them out? We gon' bring them out. Who gon' get it loud? We gon' get it loud. Who gon' run it down? We gon' shut it down. We coming for that #1 spot. Like a volcano, look out, we coming in hot. Going for the gold, and you know we'll never stop. We gon' do it our own way, this a flight non-stop. Show up like armies, we known for crashing the parties. And you can never outsmart us, we always bringing the carnage. So stay in your lane, matter of fact, just move out the way. We known for bringing the pain, you should've known we don't play. I've been on this road, this my home. Full throttle, bad to the bone. Hold up now, I don't gotta say it loud. You know who gon' run this town.
안녕, 나는 수다고의 똑순이 선도부를 맡고 있는 권희슬이라고 해.
귀염둥이 효창이야.
오늘 반장 선거가 있는데 꼭 날 뽑아줘.
나를 반장으로 뽑아주면 나의 사랑을 많이 줄게. 안녕.
안녕, 나는 수다고의 똑순이 이영영이라고 해. 오늘 우리 학교 반장 선거가 있는데 내가 출마할 거거든. 권희슬과 김효진은 걔네는 남의 말을 듣지 않아. 내가 반장이 된다면 너희들의 말을 정말 귀 기울여 잘 들어줄게. 꼭 날 뽑아줘. 파이팅!
안녕, 나는 수다고의 선도부를 맡고 있는 권희슬이라고 해. 오늘 반장 선거가 있는데 내가 출마해서 너희들을 괴롭히는 모든 사람들 내가 다 처단해줄게.
안녕, 나는 수다고의 귀염둥이 현창이야. 나를 반장으로 뽑아주면 나의 사랑을 많이 줄게. 안녕. 진짜 LG 집에 있는 것 같은데.
매콤한 떡볶이를 먹자 먹자. 바삭한 튀김도 난 좋아 좋아.
아니, 너 오기 전에 이슬이가 나한테 성경아, 나 학교 다닐 때 찐따였어? 뭘 쏘게.
뭐 지금 여기서 한풀이 하는 거야?
이게 내 수험표 사진이야.
오, 예뻐.
나는 저런 애들이랑은 친구 안 했어. 안 해. 나도 너 같은 애랑 친구 안 했거든?
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to close out not just Group C, but the entire round of 16. We've got 2 players left and 1 spot remaining in the round of 8. This is Stats versus Dark, a rematch where Stats actually won 2-0 before.
Yeah, and so far this year in GSL, Stats has just been Dark's kryptonite, man. Dark cannot catch a break, and you can kind of get that feeling here in their first match of the night, where Dark in 2 consecutive games went for a Ling Queen on his attack, try to just knock Stats out as early as he possibly could. And both times, Stats, in typical Stats fashion, was able to defend impeccably and then ride that momentum to a win. And I'm thinking we might have Stats making another round of 8 tables. He is looking so good in PvZ. Dark, I'm not so sure he has what it takes. It's odd to say that.
It's weird, right? But
I mean,
it seems like Stats' style really, really works versus Dark. It nearly took out Cure, by the way. I was actually, for a little bit, thinking we were just going to have Cure here in the losers match, but the last second, Cure did manage to pull through. Dark did come with a very specific style against Stats. It was Nidus played 2 times in a row, and it just did not work. So let's see what happens here as we go into this next match.
I think if Dark is going to want to win this one, he has to come out with something out of the box,
something
new. Let's find out which one of these guys is going to advance to the round of 8. Stats versus Dark, game 1. Right here in the top left, the Protoss player Stats going for the 13 Pylon Scout. Bottom left, Dark, a Red Zerg.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know. I like that. I like that.
It's one of his emotes. I'm not sure. Yeah. Go Stat. Hell yeah! I love that. little bar graph right there for you.
Yeah. I love that.
That's so cute.
So some Stats support over here.
Hard not to cheer for him. Oh, are you going for the proxy hatch again,
Yeah,
Dark?
I was going to say, is he going to try this once more?
Oh!
Nice deny.
You know, last time Dark went for this opening, he tried to throw down the natural expansion and then go for the proxy hatch, but this time, oh my goodness, with the pylon, it's like Stats knows.
Oh my god, but Stats
it's
also
like
has
he
the block.
knows.
Okay, so this is like really bad for
Oh,
Dark.
he's still gonna get it.
Okay.
He's still gonna get it.
I was about to say, if he could, like, both deny the... oh, dude.
What year is this?
Dark almost lost everything. If he had not at least gotten the hatchery in the natural, this game would basically be like, okay, let's pack it up.
Okay, this time only 4 probes pulled for
Well, he's got a
Stats.
Zealot. He's chrono boosting out as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. And part of this goes down to both these pylons getting thrown down. And Stats just knows that Dark, when he goes for this build, he's basically trying to play 3 hatch before pool.
Yeah.
And that means that the pool is very late. It was only when the second pylon got thrown down, or maybe it was when the hatchery was getting blocked there in the natural expansion of Stats, that Dark made the spawning pool. It's just over halfway done now. So the expansion for Dark is so delayed. Zealot's already out, hammering away at this hatchery. In a moment here, Stats is either going to be able to throw down a hatchery of his own. Oh no, he's going to let the second Zealot finish. I bet he goes for Adept behind this. 2 Zealots and 1 Adept can get so much done. Does he build the Nexus first? Nexus first does go down.
This is wild, man. Block here on the gas.
This is like a Wings at Liberty
This is just
game.
like a, you know, you watch like a boxing match or UFC fight. There's all these different styles. This is like watching 2 chicks punching each other and pulling on each other's hair. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
it
talking
does.
about? Like, this is just a messy fight. Like, all the conventional rules are being broken.
And well, 2 Zealots and an Adept are really hard to fight on the ground here for Zerg. I wonder how many Lings Dark is going to make. Second Zealot joining the fray now. Stargate getting thrown down just before the 3-minute mark. And these Adepts, or these Zealots, excuse me, are going to start wailing away on this hatchery. Once the Adept actually joins in, you need the Queen to actually push this away. The Lings alone cannot do it. What a bizarre start.
Yeah, I mean, how often have you ever seen this set of units attacking a Zerg early on? No doubt Zerg is definitely tripped up and a little bit behind.
Look at the
Dark
worker
did,
counts.
Dark did a decent job of slowing stats down somewhat, but yeah, I mean, you're totally nailing it, State. The 27 workers to 19.
And Dark's even making 4 more Lings. I think he wants to get the surround and the kill on those ults and Adepts, but didn't they already recall back home?
I don't see them on the minimap.
Where did they go off to? Oh, they're sitting at the 3rd base. I see. So
Oh,
no
they're
recall on
behind
them
the
just
minerals.
yet.
Yeah, I guess you could save it. Don't recall unless you have to.
But with an Adept here, I don't think those Lings can force their way through. He's going to shade. Should throw down a pylon behind that.
He's
Should
a little
throw
bit
down
slow.
a pylon behind that. What are you doing, Stats? No, the Lings get into the natural expansion.
Oh my god. Well, this is all Dark needed.
Yeah, this is a disaster right now for Stats. I can't believe he didn't just immediately throw down a pylon. Now, the Zealots and the Adepts, instead of recalling back home, are going to try and attack this natural expansion here of Dark, but that might be a mistake. The Oracle's almost out of energy. It's only going to get 1 Ling kill before it's out of charges. I mean, it has 5 kills in total, but these Lings are getting so much damage done. Oh, Stats
my
fumbled
God.
this. So much damage getting done. Stats, who once a moment ago had such a magnificent worker lead, now down to 22 probes, barely any of them mining against the 27 drones here of Dark. I cannot believe he didn't wall behind that Adept.
Yeah, it was getting scary. Like, we're so used to seeing pros like make the perfect, exact, precise timings. You know what I mean? Like, surely he's going to get that block up in time, and it did not happen. He's throwing down some Spore Crawlers here. It looks like he has 2 Queens at each hatchery, so he can definitely fight off the Oracles. He's going to attack it again, and I guess that's not quite enough Lings to actually break that.
I mean, Stats is not out of this game by any means, especially with these 2 Oracles. They should be able to get a lot of damage done. Even picking off 1 Queen might get the second one. We'll see. Barely does, even getting additional drone too. So there is a path forward to Stats, but this just went from a game where it felt like Stats almost had it in the bag. So now something a lot more even, and losing the Oracle like this too is just so painful here for Protoss. I mean, Stats' early game was just superb.
Well,
it's almost what you dream about there as Protoss.
Oh, yeah. Well, that setup where he, like, shut down both hatches and almost denied the proc. I mean, I actually thought Dark might just leave with how behind everything was. Stats on a move command there for a second is going to get surrounded, underestimating how many more Lings are actually coming up. He should lose every single Adept here, yeah. And
yeah, you can see Stats even just taking his hand off the keyboard to brush away the hair. He is not feeling it.
Well, this is
in this moment.
This is such a different game from what we had earlier. You know, I mean, we were seeing Stats with basically the perfect defense. This is him kind of fumbling his way through the game. And again, it was after one of the best openings we could have had here for Stats. But, you know, these are just core principles. You can't let that many lings get in your base. You're going to lose your workers. You're going to completely destabilize. He's getting his Forge, getting his Twilight Council.
It's still playable. It is absolutely still playable here from Stats, just because the early game was so good. And those Oracles, although he lost one, were able to get, you know, some damage done, one Queen done. And those, the Lings for Dark, they were not free. They come at the cost of instead making drones. So things are normalizing here. 45 workers for Dark to the 42 of Stats, who's now trying to take his third base. With these 4 Adepts, he should be able to get that up quite safely, but it's going to be a tough path forward, I think. Templar Archives getting thrown down, +1 ground weapons and charge being researched now for Stats, so no blink play coming through early. And I think this kind of does well against the style that Dark is going for here with mass +1 Lings. Dark would like for Stats to play the Blink Stalker game in this situation. That's not the way it's going.
So, I mean, for now, the game slows down, right? Stats finally gets to kind of have that economic wind-up. You know, he's getting his third base. This is an extremely late third base for the PVZ, by the way, off Stargate opening. But, man, I mean, Dark has just steadily stayed ahead here with his drone count. He's continuing to expand and grow on the map. He'll probably be able to put some pressure on Stats again here coming up.
Yeah, I wonder how many drones he's going to build in total. By the way, these Adepts are already getting fully surrounded. Finally, the Oracle's coming in to save the day. 2 more gateways, and Storm started here for Stats. Worker count still relatively even. Stats has been doing a very good job of just focusing credit boost on those next side to try and gain some ground back on the Zerg. But with Dark powering up now with +1 melee attack, with a Baneling's Nest underway, with Roaches in production, I'm wondering how many drones he's going to go up to. Is he going to sit on 70? Is he going to work his way up to 80 or potentially 85? From here, or is he just going to really start to pump the gas on unit production? Because there might be a window where, with a bulky army of Roaches attacking in, he can go for the kill. But we already have an infestation net going down. 4th and 5th base being taken now by Dark. He might just go into the late game.
So, you know, we got that Storm about to finish. I think it's a second Forge is going to finish up here as well. The 4th base is being taken. Things have really quieted down. You know, Dark continuing to try to press his advantage, and Stats desperately trying to catch up here. You can see Stats is pretty prepared for an attack. He's got, like, stasis wards laid out. He's very aware that, like, you know, a big powering attack could be coming. Although it looks like Dark is just going to continue to get further and further ahead here. He's just going to macro up as much as he can. He's getting 11 Swarm Hosts.
Swarm Hosts are the choice here.
I was not even thinking about those.
No, that was not what I thought at all. I thought the Infestation Pit was for a hive. Instead, we have Swarm Hosts coming out. Oh, this is crazy from Dark.
Well, you know, he's kind of moved up just outside of the main. He's pushed creep up there.
17 Swarm Hosts.
I think he wants to just, like, chew away at the main with Swarm Hosts over and over again, and then probably hit the right side of the map.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, this 10 o'clock position is so good just to siege the main of the natural expansion from, and usually the answer here from Protoss is just to have a ton of Blink Stalkers, have Oracles, be able to meet the Swarm Host on the map, but with these minerals not mined out, with those rocks still up, Dark has a lot of room to play here and get damage done. 17 Swarm House now on the map, and they can just take down this Templar Archive to start things off here, Tasteless.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this. You're just going to be able to take out the Nexus, take out the Templar Archives. You know, there's not a lot of infrastructure in the main. This is kind of one of the funny things. I didn't appreciate how barren and empty it was until we actually got a shot of it. But yeah, you can just take this out, and then you can even go behind the minerals over here and hit infrastructure over here.
Next round, going to be going into the natural expansion. Kind of surprised he wasn't going to try and just kill that main base Nexus, but I think he wants to go more for the tech. This is where the Twilight Council is. This is where the Forge is.
Oh my god, he could actually have denied Blink and he targeted that down, but... And now he's hitting that right side of the map.
Orcel's getting warped in. Now the army on the ground should be better for Stats if he's able to catch Dark in a position where those Swarm Hosts are not charged up. And oh my goodness, is that a full wall? Can he actually escape with these? It's only 2 Banelings, so shouldn't be able to get the full kill.
This
And
is looking so bad for Stats right
Oh
now.
no, the Templar just with their Suicide Storms right there. Then they're going to get focused down. So
Oh my
many
God.
probes have fallen.
Dark
Stats
is
just-
everywhere. This is insane.
Yeah, Swarm Host, absolutely the right call, man.
Yeah, well, it's funny
This is
'cause
crazy.
when you get someone who like over turtles and tries to sneak a 4th base like this, the Swarm Host can be really devastating.
Yeah, I mean, Stats just... Swarm Hosts are one of these units where...
Taps
GG. Swarm is one of these units where if you are not prepared for them, if they catch you off guard and they build some momentum, it's just over, man.
There's nothing you can do. And I think, you know, just like we weren't really factoring Swarm Host in, Stats wasn't either, right?
Yeah, but it
I
makes
was imagining maybe like
perfect
a Roach
sense.
Ravager attack trying to pelt the 3rd or 4th base.
Yeah, but it makes perfect sense there in retrospect to go for that, especially with the layout.
Yeah.
On Amphion. I love that play there from Dark. I mean, talk about a comeback from the way that early game went. Stats was so far ahead in workers, disrupted the 2nd base timing, disrupted even the hatch block timing there in his natural expansion. Stats had a flawless early game and then absolutely bungled the early game defense against a flood of Lings that really didn't have any right to get that much damage done.
Yeah.
And from there, Dark was just barely able to stay a pace ahead of Stats and go for the perfect tech choice, which went unscouted, partly because of the pressure he was doing just here and there with a couple of Lings at different stages of the game. And now Dark is 1 map win away from redemption here against Stats, who has been his nemesis in the GSL this year.
Yeah, Dark might be able to pull it off. Let's see if Stats can stabilize as we go into game 2 here in the final best of 3 in the round of 16.
Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. You looking for trouble? Let's get ready to rumble, rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Tell them it's going down now. Let's
Okay, so Stats here in the top right, Dark in the bottom left. I don't think we're going to have as crazy of an early game, but let's see. The probe is heading across the map, even though most of that game was Stats getting beaten up. Let's not forget, he did do a really good pylon block. Double pylon block into denying the hatchery at his natural. Ultimately, the hatchery did go down. Otherwise, I think Dark would have just literally lost the game. He'd be like floating at 700 minerals.
Where's that drone going to go?
So this drone is going to go right over here to this base and just start the hatch.
I think Dark knows that he got away with highway robbery in that previous
Yeah.
game. He's like, I'm not going to risk this again. It didn't work against Stats in the first series. In the second series here, it probably shouldn't have worked in game number 1. And instead, just going to do the more traditional third hatchery there. Stats just going to send the probe to confirm. And I'm imagining we're going to have a lot more of a standard PVZ from these guys, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dark still went for either Queenling Nidus or a Queen drop coming into the 3rd base, because it is a build that Dark busts out, it feels like, in almost every Best of X series against Protoss players, especially against the Stargate play. And Stats is one of these guys that it feels like almost every single game is going to try and go into Stargate play relatively greedily with a 3rd base, with a fast 4th base, and just do the bare minimum that he has to do to defend and play for that ultra late game. And that's the kind of play style that is really hard to defend against these kind of timing attacks that Zerg can throw your way. So we'll see if Dark is kind of still feeling that aggression that he had in series number 1 against Stats tonight. Although it didn't work very well in that first series, he might go back into it here in game number 2.
So, for now, we've got the Stargate tech coming up here for Stats. Last time he did go for, well, we've seen previously him go for a Void Ray, but also just go for Oracles right out of the bat. I think it's hard to call out what exactly he wants to do here. Probe, once again, this is like a funny thing. Just going undetected.
Yeah, it depowers the Zelnaga towers, so the Lings actually don't see it. They just know that something's in the fog, but same as the Reaper, they're just like, okay, something's somewhere.
Yeah, something's there, whatever.
That is really funny. I'm going to have to steal that. That's a spot that I haven't really been using on Elsai.
Yeah.
Very cute. I like it. All right, Stargate now done for Stats. We'll see if it's a Void Ray or Oracle. Macro is looking more like a Void Ray given the mineral and the gas flow, but it will in fact be that Oracle. These Lings should be able to make their way into the natural expansion, get a scout out.
And so we got to see, you know, things continue to develop here. It is Stats kind of, he's going to be able to get his third base up pretty quickly here with that Oracle and the Adepts there to cover that.
Oh.
Some more Lings are coming across the map now.
Yeah, look at these 11 Lings coming out here for Dark.
Yeah, but Dark mostly droning up behind this.
He wants to try and get the wraparound here on these Adepts, but with the Oracle to protect, there isn't too much you can get done. Oh, that's actually a big win there for Dark. Trading 1 Ling for 25 energy on an Oracle. That feels really good. He sees the timing too, so he just knows to throw down the Sport Crawlers right at this moment. And it's going to be another quiet mid game to start things out.
Yeah, it's a very, very slow start. Now, let's not forget that Dark did try that Nidus stuff. I don't know if he's going to do it again.
He is going for the layer, so it is a possibility.
Yeah. The layer tech has started here.
1 gas layer. Tasteless.
Yeah, 1 gas layer. That's pretty low. We're going to have to wait and see. Do we have another gas that's going to be thrown down here? The Oracles are coming through here, and actually they're able to check the gases as well.
Yeah.
Although they haven't. Okay, so the second gas has started in the main, by the way.
More drones in production. Forge and Twilight going down now for Stats. So Stats back at home, building up very normally. Probably going to move out with these Adepts now that he has 7 on the board. Usually you just have 1 clogging the ramp and then 6 move out.
That third Nexus is about to finish.
Yeah, this is
look at this.
If you're a PBZ player struggling in the matchup, this kind of opening is...
It's like a Hodor Zergling over there.
Yeah.
Stopping all the Adepts from moving through for at least a little bit.
This is a very good way to exert pressure. And once again,
There it
is.
I can't believe it. I actually was so confident he wouldn't try this again.
I think it makes sense. We'll see if it works this time. Keep in mind, Game 1 and Game 2 of their first series, Dark went for the same opening. Both times he was able to take down the third base. I believe in Game 1 he got more probe kills. In Game 2 he barely got any, but in both those games, Stats was able to just forfeit that position and then recover quite well in a spot that is honestly kind of tricky to recover from.
Yeah.
It really throws you for a loop. If you are not experienced with that kind of situation, it can be hard to play from, but now that Nidus is done, these Lings are going to work their way up to the front. Nidus going undetected.
Yeah, he might not see this at all because he just cleared that Overlord.
3 more Queens in production.
You're playing so well that it actually is going to backfire.
And seeing these Lings, I think you should know. Your Spider senses should be tingling. That shield battery should finish. Oh, look at that. Nidus Network actually
that's a nasty one.
in the natural expansion. I think it's even potentially blocking the wall in there. I don't think you can wall in behind that gateway. That is so smart there by Dark. And now the Lings flooding through. Oracles are charging up. Nidus Canal still barely surviving right now. Oracles instead choosing to favor.
I thought it died.
Focusing down the Lings. Adepts warping it into the main base. These Adepts and Stalkers should be able to make work of these Queens right here. Who are probably going to retreat into the Nidus, you would think. Instead, no, it's going to be more Lings coming in the main base. 20 probes going down right now for Stats. And actually, these reinforcements might just be enough. The Oracle's slowly chipping away at the Lings, but there's so much damage being levied down on Stats. Dark has closed the gap, 43 workers to 39, but Stats, does he have enough army to actually stabilize here? This is the kind of situation where I feel like as Stats, you really don't want to lose the third base anymore. You kind of just want to hold on to everything, but that Nexus is going to go down.
Oh my god, there's Spine Crawlers here. The main has lost almost all of its probes. The Niduses keep getting killed off, but there's still ways for Zergs to get in here.
And this is the kind of situation where I feel like Dark has gotten a lot of damage done. Even Spine Crawlers morphed in here in the front line. Look at these Lings getting us around. There's no shield battery to cover. Blink is done, so some of these Stalkers should be able to blink back. But
oh my god.
This is such a tough position now for Stats, and this is kind of what Dark was looking for in Game 1 and Game 2 of their first series. This is the kind of damage where you get into the main base, you breach the natural wall, you kill a ton of probes. Stats at 39 workers right now, and you get the Nexus at the third. Huge win for Dark.
It's like a sledgehammer cracking that position open. So much damage now. And of course, Dark really suffering no losses, I guess, other than a lot of his Queens were picked off. Stats doesn't seem to have a whole lot of choices other than to try to get a third base up again. And so these Lings are going to come in here for this surround, and I think this is going to be a forced cancel. Yeah, he cannot save that, even though the Lings would eventually lose that fight to the Stalkers.
Oh.
So another big victory here.
And a very fast Hive Tech from Dark, Tasteless.
Yeah.
8-minute hive after a Nidus timing is kind of absurd here.
Yeah, so many more Lings being made here. It looks like the Stalkers are going to try to come across the map, but you know, you can only blink away so many times. If the Ling's going to full-on surround, it's going to be huge.
I wonder if Dark is going to go for something absolutely crazy like +2 Lings with Adrenal. Oh no, stats with a little bit of mystery right now on how many Lings are on the map. These Oracles also very low on energy, aren't going to be able to get too much done. The Stalkers are falling in the middle. Stats, he's really feeling the pressure right now, Tasteless. Only on 44 probes, losing his army in the center of the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be that, man. I mean, he already lost all of his workers at his third base twice. Now he's lost the core army that he had. And an overextension, GG. Dark is going on to the round of 8.
Stats, after making it to the round of 4 in the previous season of GSL, is dispatched in one of the hardest groups at the round of 16, and he made a good show of it. I still think Stats is back, but Dark is just a tough opponent to crack, man. I mean, one mistake in game number 1, and then suddenly you're on match point, and one cool timing attack like that finally breaks it. And I mean, think about this whole series that they played today. Series 1, Series 2. Stats defended that push 2 out of 3 times. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But still, against an opponent like Dark, you basically gotta be perfect. This guy is one of the best Zergs in the world for a damn good reason. And for Stats, my heart breaks a little bit for him getting eliminated after such a heroic run in the previous season, but I don't think anyone is going to be unhappy with Pure and Dark advancing into the round of 8. Let's hear what... Oh, never mind. Highlights!
So fast.
That's right. And I really do feel like the Lings getting into the main base here was just basically disaster here for Stats, because his early game was so clutch. And I'm just still so confused how the pylons didn't get thrown down to the natural with any haste. I feel like Stats was maybe a little bit underestimating how much pressure was going to be thrown his way, and then Dark coming back into the Nidus. I want to say this Nidus, I'm not sure, but it almost felt like it was blocking what the Wallen should be behind this. Stats maybe could have sneaked in one pylon between that gateway and the pylon that's powering all the structures in the front, but the Nidus just kind of going into the natural expansion. Such a dirty move. So cool there from Dark, and that was really kind of the nail in the coffin here in game number 2. Losing all the probes in the main base, you can deal with losing the probes in the third, you can deal with losing the third base, losing the main, you're dead.
Yeah. We're going to go to that interview now.
Well, Dark, today you played a lot of games, made it all the way to the final match. You were finally able to overcome Stats in the last match. How are you feeling? Well, out of all the round of 16 groups, I absolutely think ours was the hardest, so I'm happy that I was able to survive and make it to the round of 8. Especially after last season, I was eliminated in the round of 16, so if I lost today, I would have been really heartbroken, so I am so happy that I was able to make it to the quarterfinals. Well, you faced Stats 2 seasons in a row, and today you even played against him twice here in the elimination match. In what moment were you sure that you were going to make it to the quarterfinals? Well, after I beat Rogue in the elimination match, I felt like I gained a lot of momentum. I regained my confidence, and I was able to carry that through into the final match against Stats. Well, it feels like you prepared some pretty cool builds coming in for today. It seems like you weren't really favoring the early Hydras, but instead Spore Crawlers and Queens for your defense against Cure. I'm a little bit confused. So that was wrong. I didn't even play against Cure. I'm sorry. I dropped the ball on that one, boys. But talking about the builds, Dark said you would try to do something a little bit different here against Stats. I think they're in fact talking about the Nidus thing. I was confused by that one. Oh boy. Well, in your next group going into the round of 8, you have a lot of tough opponents. How are you feeling about that? Well, you know, there's no Terrans in my round of 8 match in Group B. It's just Hero, Creator, and DRG. So I'm feeling a little bit good about that, honestly. Honestly, I feel like the round of 8 group is going to be a lot easier than the round of 8. In fact, I think it's just going to be a really easy win. I like the confidence. Well, congratulations on making it to the quarterfinals. Next week, you will be competing in ESL Spring. What is your determination in that tournament?
어떻게 보면 저에게 있어서 마지막 GSL이 될 수도 있거든요. 그래서 우승을 하고 면도를 하고 본입대를 하고 싶습니다.
Well, you know, I'm going to try and do my best. I want to have a good performance in this GSL because it might be the last one of the year, and as well going abroad, I want to do my absolute best to show my fans how thankful I am for them supporting me. Especially today, there are so many fans that showed up at the venue and stayed so late into the night. And of course, I'm recently a father. Please send a lot of love to my baby Zergling too.
Hatching just one Zergling, man.
All right. Well, pretty fun matches today, Tasteless.
Yeah, I felt like it was more back and forth than what the score looks like. We had a lot of 2-0s, I guess.
Yeah, it really didn't feel like a lot of 2-0s.
Didn't feel like it was a lot more 2-1s. I thought it was...
Wait, wasn't Kira versus Stats a 2-1?
Yeah.
I think this graphic is wrong. We are so smart, Tasteless.
Oh, God, we're so good, man.
We should be making the graphics while we cast this thing.
Exactly. And on little bicycle seats to power the stream so it doesn't crash. We just do everything on our own. Guys, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. This was a really fun day. Remember, guys, we're going to have 2 weeks off. DreamHack Dallas is just around the corner. So GSL has to wait. Some of the GSL players obviously will be down there. And as you can see, here's our lovely round of 8. Dark, by the way, very confident here in his hero creator DRG group. I think it's going to be harder than he expects. That is a funny group. No Terrans in there.
Yeah, no Terrans. Dark said he was pretty happy about no Terrans, but honestly, I feel like Dark's ZVP style plays a lot better against the more aggressive hero and creator than like Stats and Classics.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't realize also, Group A has 3 Terrans. Yeah. How funny is that?
It's funny. So wait, this is 3 Terrans, 2 Protoss, 3 Zerg. That's like perfect balance.
It's
as far
perfectly
as I'm
balanced.
I love it.
Normally we have them all mixed together in each group. So
yeah. By the way, Sue's gonna run the gauntlet. If Sue makes it to the semifinals,
that would be
my
wild.
God, that would be crazy.
Gets out and finally wins this GSL.
Like Maru, Kira, and Gun. I mean, maybe Gumiho, but those are 3 of the top 4 Terran players in all of Korea. So this is gonna be an absolutely insane match. I really hope Sue can make it. That would be what a heroic underdog story, Fruit Dealer-esque. As we'll have to wait and see the next match, guys. That's going to be June 13th, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. I'm not sure exactly when the tickets go on sale. They might still go on sale tomorrow.
Okay.
Not exactly sure. I'm sure if you go back and scan the VOD, I think we had the ticket information at the very beginning of the show.
I never actually reread that, but yeah, I don't know when exactly it would go live. I would imagine it wouldn't be tomorrow. I don't know. Just check the VOD, guys.
Check the VOD.
The opening of the show.
Look it up. Make sure you get tickets early. Of course, we don't usually sell out for the round of 8 or the round of 16, but we very nearly did sell out the round of 16 today. So, yeah, be careful. Get those tickets early. Play it safe. If you're coming to Korea, you really don't want to miss the GSL.
There it is. There it is right there. Tickets go on sale on June 7th.
June 7th. Mark your calendar, gamers.
Mark it down. But yeah, it was a great day. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll pick it right back up with the round of 8 and then on to the round of 4 and finals.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun round of 8, too. I can't believe still that we're going to have 3 of the best Terran players in Korea going up against Sue.
I mean, Sue of all people, too.
Yeah, the poor guy, he finally makes it to the round of 8. It's like, here's your reward, buddy.
Here's
I know you've been working hard for this.
Yeah.
Here's all the best TVZ players in the world. Have fun. Like, minus Clem.
Yeah, well, guys, thank you again for being here with us.
That's been fun. Good job today, Tasteless.
I want to close the show out, but I feel like I'm waiting on the Korean casters to wrap it up. But
yeah, we can't even make eye contact with them. We got a couch between us somehow. If you can,
we
can
need something
believe
that
it.
we throw at them from over here. All right, now we can wrap it up, guys. We love you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.
transmission.